This is Codie Sanchez at the Big Deal podcast. Welcome back to those who don't want to just be rich, but free and are willing to do what it takes. I am excited to get into this guest today, and I think you might realize why. Quick FYI before we get into it today, I have my first ever book out. It's called Main Street Millionaire, and it is all about how to buy small businesses to take back Main Street, your life, your bank account, and maybe just save our country. If you haven't got a chance to pre-order, you can go to msnbook.com. And we got some special things coming from those who become owners and pick it up early. I'm excited to have Danica on the podcast today because I want to learn from winners, those who've been put in intense situations, persevered no matter what, and come out the other side with something to say about it. I want to learn what it takes to actually go 0 to 100 in multiple careers, from broadcasting to being one of the biggest sponsored race car drivers in her career, to what do you do after you've hit the peak? How do you find your second and third mountain? What do you do after you've already achieved your dreams and then figured out that maybe you need to have a whole new one? This podcast today is pretty incredible. Not only because today she's gotten into sort of the culture war and pushed back on things that she thought don't make a lot of sense, but also for anybody that wants a mindset shift to become that type of champion that even in zero-sum games, even when it is winner or loser, you can get that gear that gets you into winning mode. I myself have always struggled with those moments in athletic careers where if I didn't perform, everything would fall apart. And so I want to meet with those who rose to the challenge when that happened. So without further ado, my new friend, Danica Patrick, who, by the way, is also tiny, and I look like a giant by comparison. Danica, so excited to have you here. You were obviously one of the most famous NASCAR racers of all time, race car drivers of all time. And, there was a point where I think you were one of the most highly paid, and definitely you had more sponsorships than almost anybody in the NASCAR. Yeah. So what was that like? And did you always just feel like I should be here? Like you never had any sort of sense of self-doubt, even though you were the only woman, or you looked a little bit different than everybody else there?
I feel like self-doubt and questioning your talent or your skill is kind of human nature. I don't know. Maybe you've met someone that's gone through life where they have never had a moment of waver on their skill set and their ability to execute or rise to the occasion or measure up. I think that everyone does have doubt, and so I do too. And I would, have those moments in private for sure, time to time. And, it's definitely a curious question for people, like, what do you do when you doubt yourself? And so for me, I leaned on my body of work. I was like, okay, I've been racing for 22 years now, or I've been racing for 25 years now, or whatever it was. And it's like, okay, I've done this. I've accomplished this. I've been around a long time, and you don't stick around on a fluke for decades, right? So that's the kind of stuff that I would look at and think to myself. And then I'd also be like, man, am I going to remember this? Am I going to remember how I qualified at Richmond, the fall Richmond race, not even the spring Richmond race, in 5 years? Like, no, like I'm not even going to remember next year. So these are things that also help you cope to move on.
Smart.
And then the third one, which is a bit more of an action, is like, well, if you don't like what's going on, do something about it and change. And so if you want the same, definition of sanity, to do the same thing, expecting a different result. So if you want a different result, then you have to do a different action. And so I did that throughout my career too, where I was like, well, maybe if I approach it from this way, maybe if I do it like this, maybe that would make it better. And I think that's a responsibility that you have to yourself to figuring out how to get there.
What do you do if you doubt yourself without a body of work? Something new you've never done before?
You have to give yourself I think there's already like a built-in amount of reasonable expectation level when you've never done something before. Yeah. But then, of course, I think then maybe it comes to really like goal setting. And so when I got to NASCAR from IndyCar, there's race after race. IndyCar was a much shorter season. NASCAR was basically like every single weekend. And so the energy of one weekend would spill into the next one very easily. And that's what I let it do when I first got there. So I realized and then it fully spiraled when it was like, I don't know, it was like second or third race in a row that was bad early in the season. And it was Phoenix, and it was my sponsor's hometown race. And I was just like a bitch about it. And I realized after that, I was like, whoa, like I better learn how to get over this stuff really fast and leave it behind each weekend so that I can reset the next weekend and bring a better attitude and a better mood, because I'm always on. Like, you don't have any, and what it creates is like a pretty bad spiral. So the goal setting and like finding small incremental goals along the way to the big one. I totally believe you need to have really, really big goals, really lofty ones that you don't even know if you can. They shouldn't almost be like, they should be believable only from a hopes and dreams standpoint, but it should be like it should be like very difficult to reach, to the point that if you fall short, you've already like really killed it, you know?
Love that. Yeah.
And so there's always the really, really big dream. That's almost like the impetus to it. The really big dream is the impetus to the company or to the business. And then you set the incremental ones along the way to keep you happy, to keep you positive, to keep you in a good mood, to keep the people around you motivated, to keep your damn sponsors happy, right? Like, those are the things that you do to bring yourself up so that you don't lose yourself and spiral out of control because you've had a couple of bad weeks. It's like, okay, there's only been 2 or 3 rodeos now. That's a low amount of rodeos.
Yeah, let's keep going. I think a lot of people in life don't have experience playing zero-sum games. You know, it's the hardest game there is, because there is a winner and there are many losers. And in life, thankfully, most things are not a zero-sum game. You know, if I grow my business, somebody else can grow it too, and nobody has to see me as I didn't win or I didn't lose. So when you were running these races and they were zero-sum games, how do you mentally prepare for failing or not winning in front of hundreds of thousands of people?
Yeah. You basically lost every weekend. I mean, like, the best of the best, like, I'm trying to think, one of my very good friends, Kyle Larson, he might have won like 10 or 11 races one year, which is like a crazy amount of races out of like 40 or 39 or something like that there was. So the ratio is pretty good, but that's like a insanely good. Like, that doesn't happen that often. If you win 5 in a year, that's really good. So the rate of failure is super high. And I think that's why athletes are really pushed in the mental category very hard, because there's a lot of losing. And so I think that's also why so many don't make it. That's why skill isn't really enough in sports, and that you have to have more, because you lose a lot.
And does that translate to your second career, let's say now, podcasting, author, multiple time business owner? Is it the same in some ways as winning or losing a NASCAR race?
I guess because the one thing I thought when I got into these other businesses was that I would just like pick up where I left off as a race car driver, meaning you do your big TV shows, you're on the cover of magazines, it sells well, it's like everything like cash flow king, you know, that it just like pick up where I left off. And I realized that just because I drove race cars doesn't mean that people think I know how to make wine. And in fact, that seems totally reasonable. So you have to like build up a reputation. You have to build up credibility. So I think that's like one of the first big mistakes I made. But what we were just talking about with mindset is that I'm used to failing. So I think, like, what other way could we do it? I also think it takes time. You know, my career in racing was 27 years. So from 10 to 37, basically. So I didn't become an overnight success, right? It took a long time to get there. So I also think about that too. And you're like, oh, that seems a pretty rational thought too. Like, it might take some time.
No, it's very rational. Yeah. But I think most of us are really scared of something. So, you know, I've heard it called a death fear. And, you know, my death fear is actually failing publicly and like being irrelevant.
What does it mean publicly?
Just like being a public failure, like that. My whole purpose of life is that I want to provide this massive amount of value. I want to achieve these things. I want my life to have meant something egotistically. And so if I fail, will that have meant that I didn't
like amongst your equals, amongst your coworkers, amongst your fellow other business moguls?
I haven't got that deep.
Okay. Or like just in general.
Maybe in general. But, you know, so that might be mine. Or, and that it didn't mean anything that I lived, that like I didn't do enough while I was here, quote unquote. Do you have a death fear? Because it seems like embarrassment or public failure. You're like, no, fuck it. This is just, you win some, you lose some.
No, it was about failing. It was just about not succeeding. Yeah. And that's why also like money has never been a goal too, because I know that money's a byproduct of succeeding. Like I don't have to have a goal of money. All I have to have have to have the goal of succeeding. My goal is, well, first off, whenever I'm starting something, whether it was racing or any other company that I have, I start with a dream, which is actually why I named my wine Somnium, because it means dream in Latin. And so there's already like a built-in passion for it. And then from there, it's like a seed, and then it becomes something. So these passions turned into businesses. Really what I wanted to do was I wanted to be successful. Like, I just want to be really good at it. Like, everything I do, I want to be good at. And even like my podcast too. Like, I think to myself, I look at these other people and I try and learn, and then maybe this isn't a good thing for me to do, because the competitiveness in me wants to go like, how do I become really great? And
why would that not be good?
Well, no, not that part. The part I think about is like, cut yourself some slack. Like, you already had your mountain, right? You already did the thing. You already won. Like, you don't even have to do this. So relax on yourself. Have a good time. Do a good job. You're probably doing a good job. You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to be the best. You don't have to like do an interview and feel like, damn, I wish I could have gone this way or better. Like, you already had your skill set, and you're competing against people who it's their skill set. Like, this is their mountain. This is their one thing. And like, I'm just on to the next thing. So sometimes I think about businesses like that too, where I'm like, oh, just chill out. You already did it, you know?
Really
just to like give myself a little bit of peace of mind. But I don't think that you don't really change people. So I'm never going to lose this want and drive to be better. Maybe I don't have the push that I used to, because things like vacations are important to me, and free time, and less stress, and 911s, and running around the country, and sleeping in hotels, and, you know, some of that stuff I don't want to do as much. But yeah, I think to myself, like, but we don't change. That's the point. Like, there will always be that fire in me. I think about that with a personality too. Like, I have a friend who, Joe Dispenza, who has like a book called Breaking the Habit of Hating Yourself.
Book.
And so I think that really could trigger people into being like, no, I like myself. And it's like, but, you know, it's all about becoming like a better version of yourself. You know, it's just like breaking the habit of being yourself is, it's just a pattern. And so I don't think that, but inherently there's like an essence to you. And so as much as you're scared about like changing your personality and changing who you are, I think there's always an existing essence within you, within me, within all of us that will always be there. And do people ever say to you that like they have a generalization for what you're like, or like a descriptor?
Of course, yeah.
No matter what.
Of course.
You don't even have to say anything, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You walk out of the room and they can all tell what it is. Yeah, that's your essence, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. And also, it's a great reminder that no matter what you do, you can't stop being you. That's the one thing for sure. Right. Until you die, this is what you are. Right. And you can become better versions, worse versions, different versions. But it's just not sustainable to not be who you are. So that's a really good reminder, especially in a world where increasingly so many people are pretending. You know, we're collectively pretending crazy things. We're individually pretending crazy things. And I do think there's a huge freedom in honesty.
I think it's also that we just don't actually know who we are.
Well, you've done a lot of work on that. I mean, I was going through all of your podcasts in between, you know, working with doctors and plant medicine and going deep. This wasn't anything you did while you were racing. This is all second mountain for you.
Yeah. All kind of curiosities, but yeah, there wasn't time or space for that. Yeah. These are all just my other interests, like showing up on a show.
Do you find that a lot of high-performing people who have had their first mountain that they've achieved then end up needing to seek themselves more because they're like, God, I achieved that thing. I hit the goal. Now what? Is there like an identity crisis that happens after that?
I don't know, but I do think that we all like fall short in like one bucket usually. Like, you've got like your relationship bucket, work bucket, family bucket, hobbies, interests, confidence, but like there's like these sort of like buckets of like life. And I think that we're always going to have to go to work on the one that we're not good at, the one that's more difficult for us, the one that we're more insecure about, the one that we're more challenged, the one that we'd have less confidence in, the one that we're not good at, you know, the one we maybe just don't have the experience in. But yeah, I always think there's like one. So
what's your
relationships?
like intimate
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah. And even like specific to that, I'm really not attached to friendships, businesses, anything like that. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If a relationship doesn't work, I'm like, what does it say? I'm like, I need to change or do something different. Or
So you become kind of like an amoeba, like you change to try to keep the relationship.
well, yeah, and it usually shows up from a childhood pattern, right? It can almost always be traced back to childhood, or some youthful experience, and so I think that when you get past avoiding that one that you're not good at because you've been so focused on something else, man, you now have time, right? And you also probably doing more of those other things, right?
Yeah.
Working your ass off. You don't have time for the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that it just shows up and it actually just becomes a more relevant problem. So I think that's where a lot of my self-help came from. But other than that, it was just pure interest in trying to understand how the universe works.
Yeah, that makes
Because it's
sense.
just a curiosity of mine.
I mean, first you walked in the door, you're like, look at this crazy machine I just did with this inflammation thing. And I can't even remember the names of all this stuff. So you obviously have that insatiable drive for learning.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because you use the term, I'm not stuck with any idea. Like I am open to new learnings all the time. In fact, wouldn't it be a tragedy if your entire life you weren't allowed to change your perspective when you had more inputs?
Yeah.
What a bizarre take to have in this
If
world.
you never change your mind, it means you never learned anything new.
Yeah, horrible. And yet that is something that we hold against people all the time. I mean, I thought it was a travesty, actually, that, who was it? Amber Rose or whatever came and spoke at the RNC.
Yeah.
And she just got killed on the internet for it.
Super impressed.
Yeah, and I thought, who cares?
She's a stripper.
Yeah, she wants to be better.
She's on the RNC stage with a tattoo on her head, speaking like so articulately and beautifully.
Agreed.
And I'm like, wow,
Good for you.
hell yeah.
100%. Forehead tattooed RNC. Good for her. That's the exact thing that I thought. And also, shame on any of us who try to take old versions, maybe worse versions of ourselves, and say that we can't progress, that we have to be shackled to that person for the rest of our life.
Sure.
I mean, you and I are both divorced. That would be tough.
Yeah.
If we were never allowed to leave that behind.
It'd be like a business not being able to pivot. It's like, nope, man, your first stab at it. You didn't do it. You can't. No, I know you. You did those stupid advertisements. You can't do better now.
That's true.
Stupid.
When you moved past being divorced, successful woman, achieved a billion things. Like I told you, my COO is like a big Danica fan. So he's like, oh, I've always had a crush on her. Like, shout out, Chris. I'm sure you get that all the time.
It's the last time that happened was a couple of days ago. I interviewed Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Which is someone I always want to interview. Like,
Yeah,
it's
she's
just
a
very
badass.
like
Yeah.
to have like really, really high achieving, very famous female athletes to come together.
Ooh.
So I was really excited about it. And she walked in. The first thing she said is, she's like, my husband Trav wanted you to know that he has a huge crush on you. And like she went into like saying like they were looking at before, and he was pointing out like, see, she's the same age as me. Like. Anyway, so that was the last time it happened.
I like that. If that is the legacy that you continue to have from them, that's incredible,
And then we both decided, because my boyfriend has had a crush on Ronda Rousey when she was doing her thing. And I was like, well, same thing. And I was like, obviously our men like really strong women, clear.
That is true. Yeah, a lot of my female friends today will say it's really hard to find a man right now. Like there's no men anywhere. And, men don't want to date me because I'm successful or whatever. What do you think about that?
I ask a lot of questions about human psychology, about the patterns in history and genders and what's inherent to them. I do think that there's like a provider gene for men, and I think that when a woman is successful, it like competes with that provider gene, like nature within them. I think men, or a masculine mind, is more like thinking, doing, logical, and a woman tends to be more, the feminine is more flow, wants more, like possibilities, dreamy, and and so I think that I wonder too how much it's shown up in my relationships, just being in like the do sort of mode. The masculine mind is super easy for me to do. It's very easy for me to make decisions, make the call, pay the thing, organize, book, do, boss people around. It's all just really easy to do.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself is probably hard to break down past for me, like of mine, right? because you got to do better than that, right? You have to be more capable than that on some level. And so getting into my feminine requires me not making as many decisions and doing as much. So I think that it makes it hard. You got to, like, someone's got to get through it. And then they have to be able to, like, sort of uphold their end of the bargain to be able to keep me in my feminine. And just ultimately, though, overall, just like have enough confidence that they're worthy. But you know what? That happens on the other side, too. You know how many times I've felt like probably not worthy? Like, because at the end of the day, we don't get the relationship we want. We get the one we believe we deserve.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure in my life and my patterns, like, I feel like I've deserved someone that's a little harder on me, someone that isn't quite as emotionally available, because, like, that's what I got. That was like my patterning from childhood with dad and, you know, and the way that I operated. So I got what I thought I deserved instead of just staying in my ground and being like, you know what, this isn't working for me. I also went to that athlete mode of like, let me fix it. I think that's a little bit of an athlete mode, maybe. Yeah. Because you were constantly being told what to do. Like, change this, do that, break later, show up here, you're late, you're, you know, whatever. There's just, your life's on a minute by minute, and you're being told what to do all the time.
Instant feedback.
Always how to be better.
Right.
It's always about how to be better. It's not really like just totally celebrating. It's like, nope, back to work Monday.
Yeah, no, not a lot of celebrating that. I can only imagine at your level. I mean, I was a tiny little athlete with softball, but I think it's helped a lot in business because I don't take much personally. You know, it's pretty easy to just go, oh, this isn't about me. This is just the job we're doing.
Yeah.
And so, like, we just make these changes. But in a relationship, not the same. Yeah. So how do you get back into your feminine? Or how do you, I mean, you look very feminine. You look great. You got a little color on. You got a little skirt. But, you know, when you come in the door after a hard day running, bossing people around, yelling at people during an F1 race or something as you're broadcasting it, like, do you walk in the door and you're like, yeah, so anyway, what we're doing today is we're going to go here, and then your boys, you know, your boyfriend's there, and you have to, like, break frame?
Yeah. How does that work? Yeah. I usually it's like, whoa, chill out, or whoa. And I'm like, sorry, I'm still in the mode. So, like, even this week recording a bunch of shows and, like, working, it's like I can stay in that go mode and it'll just, like, be a come down.
Yeah.
But just having the awareness of it, just like anything in our life, the awareness of something is more than half the battle. It's the one that took the most time. Like, it took me till I was this old to be able to realize, oh, I do this. Now, the actual changing of the pattern is a lot harder, but it's a lot shorter. But the awareness plays a role in and of itself. So just the awareness of, like, oh, wait, I think I'm still in, like, work mode right now. Let me chill out. And so it just takes a little bit of time. It's like an energy. It's wound up. It's just got the energy, just got to chill.
That's a really good point. Yeah, my therapist told
you that. I mean,
oh yeah, my therapist said,
how does it go with your husband? I mean,
well, she said something that I thought was fascinating. She's like, most fights happen in transition moments. Fights don't typically happen during a continuous pattern. They happen in between coming home from work into the door. They happen leaving from the house to the airport. They happen from, you know, leaving a meeting and jumping into another meeting. She's like, fights happen in transitions. And I thought that seemed sort of true. And so she said, when you know you're going to go through a transition and it's typically one of your trigger fight modes, just take a moment by yourself before you walk in the door, before you come home. Take a couple breaths. Like, take off your shoes, get rid of the jacket, like drop the bag outside or something before you even walk in. Yeah. And then you walk in. You're right. And so I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. Walking back in the door after the race to the hotel room and being like, okay, all right, I'm done working.
Right. Which is beautiful. And I think the one nice part about women working so much now too is men probably don't have as many conversations like that as women do with their therapists, but it's the same thing. You know, that's like the stereotype since the beginning of modern work is the man comes home, he's tired, you know, the woman wants something, he's in this other mode. And how do you change that? What do you think about this this idea of, you know, trad wife and men not wanting a strong woman anymore? You don't know about this? You're on the internet. I thought this is... Okay, so trad wife. Let me school you. So apparently there's a new movement, kind of newish, but it's like, have you seen... I wish I could think of some of their names.
Is it like an acronym?
Traditional wife. But it's like these beautiful dressed women that are in like aprons and whatever, kind of with makeup on, but they're in the kitchen and they're like cooking a meal, but the whole time they're like, and now I'm making for my husband.
Oh yeah, those funny videos.
Right. Yeah. And so the idea is like the traditional woman who doesn't work, who takes care of her husband, who bakes sourdough bread from the garden, you know, takes care of the kids.
Yeah.
And it's sort of maybe this pushback to girl bosses or whatever. Have you found that it's harder for you to date because you are a successful woman and not like a trad wife?
I've definitely thought about that too. I mean, some of the stuff that we already said, yes, but I've also wondered too if some of it's a little about wanting a kid. Sometimes I've wondered that too, of like, just if that wasn't like a driving force, there's like not as much of an anchoring to like solidifying the relationship.
Do you not want kids?
I wouldn't say that, but I mean, while I was racing, it was not going to happen. So
hard.
I wonder sometimes if like that wasn't like an anchor to a relationship, right? As being something that could play into it. I've heard that a man wants to like he just wants somewhere where it's not hard. Like he just wants easy. And I guess if I'm looking at it in the most positive way, I'd say it's because like he's been at work. I agree. It's stressful. He like has the responsibility of like keeping the family, you know, afloat, you know, financial burden could be some of that, right? So he just kind of wants like just peace. Like, I just don't want it to be hard.
I'll say for me personally, I didn't really have an issue with, and I'm a pretty hardcore bitch. And I couldn't be with somebody who was probably a total wallflower because I'd walk all over him. But sometimes I think a lot of women today, if you're struggling to find somebody to be with, we have to be careful the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there saying men are bad and they don't want a woman that works and, you know, you're never going to meet somebody because you're not this traditional stereotype, then that's probably going to be true. And simultaneously, if instead, you know, you tell yourself a different story, you might have a different outcome.
I think our perception becomes our reality.
Yeah. I mean, you guys as athletes, visualization is incredibly important too, right?
Totally.
How does that actually work? How do you visualize? Do you still do that today? Oh, you know what you should do? Remember when we were talking and you were saying, I was explaining some stuff in finance and you were like, oh, fuck, I just blacked out with all of that. I wasn't listening at all because I was explaining some numbers. And I was saying to you that I feel the same way with directions. Like I become an idiot. I'm lost and I immediately, as somebody's telling me where to go, I black out. And you said something different happens.
Yeah.
To you.
I draw a picture in my head.
Yeah.
And I said with you, with numbers, you probably start to see like almost like a flow chart. You see like, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's like the Queen's Gambit, right?
Yeah.
But
actually,
like,
right. Right. That's interesting.
Right. I see directions. I don't see numbers at all. It's just numbers.
They just
throw them in the air,
float out there, and you just kind of wiggle them away. That makes sense.
Throw them into the abyss. It's probably more accurate.
So how do you visualize then? Like, what is your actual process?
Visualize. I mean, with racing itself, you just literally visualize perfect laps.
Yeah.
You literally put yourself inside the car and you can watch yourself turn it off. And then you can watch yourself like apexing. You also imagine how it felt and how you turn the wheel. And you just visualize it all happening perfectly.
Yeah. So you feel how you feel, what it looks like. Anything else? Do you do like other sensory things? Is it smell, touch? No. Okay. And do you apply that today? Like, do you still do that in your day-to-day in your business?
You know, one of the most powerful ways to manifest is that way. And I just interviewed Joe again, speaking of Joe Dispenza, the other day. And I'm like, why do I do this every day? Because like I manifested something in 2 hours when I learned this the first time. And
how do you do it? Yeah. What's the process?
The way he teaches it is you think about whatever it is that you want.
Okay.
So in my example that manifested in 2 hours, I wanted to go to Egypt. So you put an E, put a little bubble around it on a piece of paper. On one side of it, you write a handful of reasons why: adventure, mystery, learning, like whatever your reasons why. And then on the other side of it, you write another handful of elevated emotions that you will feel having accomplished it. So you'd be like, and you'd be, joyful. You'd be humbled. And you write these emotions down. So then the meditation happens, and then at the end of it, he's like, all right, you go to what it is that you want, think about why, and then you go into the elevated emotions, and that is the part where you visualize. So I pictured myself looking at the pyramid, feeling this awe, overwhelmed, like actually feeling it, because I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it, and I'm actually there. I've made it, and it's spectacular, and I feel like elated and like humbled, and you get all the whole feeling, and it becomes visceral. Like, so when you do it, you might cry, you might laugh, you might heart rate starts going up, you might get warm, start sweating, whatever it is. But because you're actually in the experience and you're having a feeling, you're charged up. You're now in the future. You now are living in the future. It's happening. So you've anchored that reality, and then you just wait for it to come through. And so anyway, there's magic into letting it go. There's definitely magic in letting it go. So, because I thought to myself, man, if it takes years to manifest this trip, because he was telling a story about one that he did and how long it took. And it was, I don't know, it was like 6 months or like something like that. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, like if this takes a couple of years to get the right trip. So anyway, I go to dinner, and my girl taps me on the shoulder, and she's like, hey, I heard you're interested in Egypt. And I was like,
that's
I
wild.
was like, do you know what I wrote down? And she was like, huh? She's like, no. She said, but this girl over here said you were talking about Egypt. She's like, there's a trip in February if you want to go, which is in a couple months. And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to go. And I looked across the table at dinner, and I said, Joe, it took 2 hours. 2 hours.
What did he say? Just nods.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why don't you do it more often?
That's a way to manifest.
I'm going to steal that.
Visualizing and feeling.
Yeah.
It's the feeling that gets you into it, because really marks it. Like it just like, I mean, we can have it in a negative way too. So we can create positive and negative associations with emotion too. And that's what happens with the trauma, where, something happens and you feel, it could be small, but you get this feeling of like, maybe you were told as a kid, like maybe you were singing in the car and, your mom was in a bad mood and she was like, oh, you sound so horrible, stop. And you're like, oh, I'm gutted, right? And like you never sang again, but you like wanted to cry. Maybe you did, and so that's like an emotion marked in the moment that you're now stuck in. So the same thing can happen on the other side of it with positive emotions. It's called reminiscing, right? And it's like having a really positive memory where you look back and like you're really happy about it, and you sort of, those are the ones that you rehash with people. So those are really positive emotions. It might be you when you were young, you went to. You used to have a cabin and you guys would have bonfires every night. So every time you smell a bonfire, you're like, oh my God, this takes me back to the cabin. And you're like, you can put yourself in a different state, but it's that emotion that's the most important part. So even with manifesting, it's the emotion that really draws in that reality.
If you guys like this podcast today, tell your mama, tell your friend, tell everybody you know that you need to share the pod. Don't be greedy, share the pod with the needy. Thank you guys for doing this. Also, if you feel like leaving a review, now would be the time, because the only way that we get more people listening to a little bit of truth in a world of nonsense is you. Thanks, guys.
I've never seen myself as a girl driver. I'm just a driver. What do you mean by that? And do you still believe that?
Yeah, I mean, the context matters a little bit, but I would say with intention of knowing what that means is that the car doesn't know the difference. The car doesn't know if it's a girl or a guy driving it. It shouldn't matter, right? The potential is still there. So that's probably why.
Was that hard to say back then? Did you get flack for that? Or do you get more flack for a statement like that today?
Oh, I think if you say girl or boy, you get flack for it today, no matter what. So I think we're in a really weird time where, like, I don't know about you, but anytime I say male, female, girl, boy, like, I'm like, oh, wait. And then I usually follow it up with who cares, because I believe there's two genders. So suck it.
Then you're immediately canceled.
Yeah, that's it. Canceled. And that's the end of me.
Or people are tuning in.
Right? I mean, controversy does get clicks too.
Yeah.
But I think that I don't think it's ever hard for me to say, to be honest. I'm just very comfortable with whatever my truth is, and I'm totally open to my truth changing. I'm a pretty open-minded person, and in fact, I love having my mind change because it means I've learned something.
Yeah. I like that line about you. That's rare. What about, it's super timely right now. Olympics just happened. Lots of controversy about men and women at the Olympics too. What do you think about men and women's sports? I got confused even with the boxing thing. All of a sudden, I'm like, what is a woman, and then I'm confused because I'm a woman, and then there's some sexual disease, some disease that they had. It was over my head, and I stick in my lane in finance half the time. But as a female that was an athlete, what do you think?
I think there should be a pretty clear definition of man and woman or girl and boy. I think that, you're biologically born a one way. You either have reproductive organs or you don't. You can either be the one that carry a baby or you don't.
There you go.
And so I kind of think that's the differentiating factor. Maybe it's just like a matter of language of girl, boy, or male, female. Maybe there's like biological or birth gender or something like that, but there was one. And I think that because obviously like I was a girl in a guy's sport, but there are some true hormonal, physiological reasons why men should not compete in women's sports when it comes to strength, when it comes to power, size. Those things are really different. And when men have at least 10 times the testosterone that women do, which is something that helps build lean muscle mass and gives you size and mass and power, it's totally unfair. Like it's not fair at all. So I don't agree with it. I think we're in a super weird time. And I can't believe that they allowed that stuff into the Olympics.
Yeah. I also think it's fascinating that we are taking up so much time in our society with that question.
Yeah.
It's like all the problems we have, all the things we need to solve, all the obesity, the unhealth, the poverty, the difficulty. That's where we want to go. And so I do get sad that some of our greatest minds, we have to spend time even talking about this. And yet simultaneously, I do think that words mean things, and we should be careful that we understand the words before we use them.
Yeah.
So I think it's important there are people like you that take a stance on either side, and I'm open to either. The other day I was at a conference, and it was a Latino conference, and I think the term Latinx, which I call Latinx, is the most ridiculous term of all time.
What does it mean?
Right? Had you heard this one?
I've never heard this.
So essentially, Latino is an O on it, which is masculine in Spanish.
Oh,
the O's are masculine.
And Latina.
Right. And so they said that this was genderizing the word Latino. So they put an X on it. And I worked in Latin America for a long time, so I played a little game where I asked all my peeps, I was like, what is Latinx, Latinx? Have you ever used this? And they were like, ¿de qué? Like, Latin X? Like, it doesn't even make sense in the vernacular. Exactly. And so I kind of said that at the crowd, and a young woman, said that she identified as Latin X, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. And I was like, I don't care what you call yourself, just don't make me use a word that I shouldn't have to.
Well, let's face it, we're not using man and woman, and we're not doing it to degrade or devalue, judge. We're using it as a descriptor. Usually it's like, excuse me, sir. It's like, because like, what was this? Excuse me, brown-haired tall person. It's like a descriptor. We're trying to get, it just makes functioning in society a little easier. And yet we're here making it hard. We're here making it complicated.
Yeah.
It's so not worth our time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not. And it seems like there's a clear answer. And I love like the hypocrisy of that people, what is it? Like people that want, people that want a female president also are not able to tell you what a female is, right? Like there's also like goofy hypocrisies in there too that are just like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like we're living in this very interesting time in society where things are becoming more and more and more polarized. So there's, I think, just like more stupidity than ever, but also brilliance. And there's more beauty and joy and possibility out there and connection, and less than ever. Like we're just living in this really weird time, and I don't know where it snaps back to or if it breaks apart and becomes something new. But it's a very interesting time.
When you first started saying things like that publicly, you're a broadcaster, you're on stages all the time, then you go on Tucker Carlson, and that's highly divisive for some people. And did you get a lot of pushback talking about things like genders or politicians, and does that bother you at all?
It doesn't bother me. It just shocks me. And so I try not to go into an area that I don't know too much about. I think it's okay to have opinions, right? Like to become an expert on something is one thing, but we were talking before just about, you speaking out in various different things and, how you find your groove with that. It's like you can only really, the fail-safe way to do it is to use your experience. It's to just say, in my experience, or in what happened to me was, because nobody can argue with that.
Yep.
Nobody can argue with that at all. So, but when I think that, when it comes to politics and speaking out and being a little bit more in that world, which is a world I totally stayed away from. I mean, look, when you go do events or you do speaking engagements or various different things, there's two things that are topics that you're not supposed to ever talk about. It says like topics do not talk about these topics. Politics, religion.
Yep.
Like they always say, just like stay away from those things. So as an athlete, I just did my job and I didn't get in the middle of all that stuff. But last winter, I went to AmFest in Phoenix, which is a Turning Point event put on by Charlie Kirk. And it's all very red, white, and blue, It's all, it's a lot of Republicans, a lot of right-leaning people speaking out. But it was, the platform had various different people. Everybody's talking about, like, psychology to religion to border control to, like, all kinds of various, and obviously, of course, politicians. Tucker was there, and when I posted about it, people, like, it's amazing that you can go to an event where it's about loving America and people think you're radical. Yeah. And so I guess that's kind of where I'm like, I almost got pissed off. I was like, y'all are crazy. And so I think that that's kind of what got me engaged and made me feel like a little bit more of a calling to speak out. I've also always wondered whether or not if there's a problem or an issue or something that you don't agree with, do you feed into it and try and speak your mind or have an opinion about it to try and change it or let people know or educate or widen their potential horizon on what could be possible in the way that they think? Or are you actually just reinforcing and perpetuating that exact narrative that exists?
Yep.
Right? Are you keeping it alive with your attention? And so I've thought about that many times. Like, do I just go live my life and stay away from all this stuff and not give my opinion? It's the easier way. It's a more peaceful way in some ways. Mm-hmm. But I think that I just got to the point where being engaged on some level felt like a calling. And I feel comfortable to say things, say more than I used to. It's definitely still an area that's a little weird coming from being an athlete to, like, have opinions about stuff like that. But
well, you're very respectful. I mean, I want to play this clip of you back in the day getting, you had some fans that were talking a little shit on the sidelines, and you walk over and, here it is.
Oh! No, I get it. That was there was.
Since I'm old,
Sweetheart.
Instead of taking the booing, what I want to tell you is, like, I do the very best I can.
Yes, you do.
I mean, if you're a real fan, you know that I'm not just like, my job is to hold and sign autographs, right? My job is to drive the car, to tell the crew chief what's going on. I don't appreciate the book, you know what I mean? I'm a person too. I have feelings. So when you boo me, it hurts my feelings. Okay? Please just be supportive fans. I'll do everything I can. When I came from over here, 3 cars over there. I only do so much. I have to get in the car. So please understand that all feelings too.
And what I thought was interesting about this is that you even thought to, speak to them. So, like, what was going through your head at the time? Do you do that often? Was that like a one-off thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Going at, like, mothering fans or yelling at fans or whatever, however you want to look at it, is for sure rare. I was like, I think I was at Pocono and I was walking back from pit road, and I might have been after qualifying or something like that. Generally always very busy. I mean, we're working. And so I'm walking back, and I think people think that if you're on TV or on your phone or behind a railing somehow that you're not real and you don't have feelings, but they said some smart ass comment, and I was like, and I, like, rationally was like, all right, that is inappropriate, and, like, I just want to go tell them, like, and I'm going to go tell them how I feel about it, which was I walked over there and I was like, look, that hurts my feelings. Like, you think I don't know, I didn't hear you? Like, I have feelings too. I'm a person. Like, you think that doesn't hurt me at all? It does. It does. And, like, I feel like I did, like, a little mothering act on them, right? I kind of just...
You were very even, too. No cuss words, no raising of a voice. Did they respond well?
I think I got more flack from, I don't remember if, I think maybe someone got it on video, obviously.
Obviously, I saw it.
But I think anytime that you disrespect your fans, it just doesn't always go super well.
Yeah.
But again, that felt like a call, like a way to. I was trying to tell him, you made me feel bad about myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because
And also stop being a dick. Stop being an absolute dick. You know?
I kind of like that better. I feel like next time.
How did your parents raise you? Did they raise you to yell at people from the sideline like, you suck?
You're like, you do it.
Seriously. I think about that. At what point in time in your life did you evolve into being like the you suck person from the stands? It's never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Ever.
And now there's a world of them on the internet.
Oh, God, yeah.
You
right?
know, just
even
all
more,
day
they don't-
walking
you can't
around.
even see- I can't even go approach them.
No, you can't. Half the time they have these anonymous accounts. But I do think that it's a good point, because I think a lot of times people don't realize that you screaming from the sidelines just means you're not in the game. Like, if you don't like
In the arena.
right? If you don't like what Danica's doing, go show her off. You know, go be better. But I think they don't believe in themselves that much, which is why peanut galleries happen.
So, the way you treat someone says, the way that someone treats you says a lot more about them than it does you. And so if someone's an asshole to you, it doesn't mean, if they're mean to you about something, it doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. It means that they're mean.
Yeah.
It's talking about their insecurities. Anytime also somebody gets triggered, projects, it's coming from a wounded place. Because usually what we judge, we deny. So maybe they were not allowed to, like, if their mom or dad like wanted their attention, they had to like snap to it. Maybe and no matter what, they had to respond. And maybe they were taught like, if be respectful of this and like, always put them first. And so then in this scenario where he's saying something, wanting attention from me, and I don't do it, and he says something, maybe it's because he was triggered into this sort of like pattern that he's in, where it's like, I would have for sure come over and turned around. You should have. And then he got mad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I do think a lot of the trolling happens at the end of a should. And so, and shoulding your way through life is just not a good idea. I often get asked this question. How do you function as a woman in a male-dominated field? And I never really know the right way to answer that. I'm sure you've got asked the same question. Yeah. How do you answer it?
That I've never been a guy, so I don't know how it is to be a guy. I don't know. I mean, how do you be a guy in a guy's world?
That's good. What did they say back?
Nothing. They can't say anything. Again, that's my experience, right? Like, you can't argue with that. I didn't tell you, well, it's much more difficult and you don't believe in me. And I didn't say that because they might be like, no, I totally believe in you. So my experience is, I don't know. I don't know the difference. I've never been a guy. So you're asking me of the delta. I don't have any information on the delta.
Yeah. No penis, no delta.
Nope.
I want to talk a little bit about, you have on your podcast all these different things you talk about. Some of them manifesting, like with Joe. I listened to a few of them where you talk about health. Now it makes a lot of sense why. You've kind of been really curious about how to fix health. In particular, you talked about something that another one of my girlfriends struggled with, which was issues with breast implants. What happened? And now that you've talked to a bunch of people about this, you've worked through this with your health, have you found this is common? Like, a lot of women have issues with breast implants, and how could you even tell if you have one or not?
It's one of those things that I'll share this part too. Like, there's a whole big, obviously, thing around vulnerability, and all of the most impactful things that I've done, there's like a few moments where I like shared something I wasn't sure I was ready to share. It's like, so breast implants was one of them, because I never said I got them. I got them when I was racing. So I was like, this seems counterintuitive for an athlete. And it shows I'm insecure about something. I'm not trying to advertise that.
Didn't you have cute bikini advertisements too?
Sure, yeah.
I remember seeing those bad boys. They look great.
Yeah, thanks. They're very tasteful. And so, but then when I got them out and I had a positive, like my body responded so positively so quickly, I felt this calling to tell people. Because I'd worked for like a year and a half so hard on figuring out what the hell was going on with me. And so I created this post, and my mom was with me because she was there taking care of me. I didn't really need anything. I mean, honestly, like, I was at the grocery store. My surgery was at 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was at the grocery store at like 7:30 in the morning with all the energy in the world. Like, all right, cool, with like drains hooked up to me. Jesus. Anyway, so, but she was there, and I was like, Mom, should I post this? And she was like, well, you should check and see if you should. And so it's like, send Haley, who's been with me for like 15 years. I'm like, so she's my VP. should I post about it? She's like, let's wait. And I was like, Mom, should I post this? She's like, well, you're probably going to do it anyway. I was like, true. And I pushed send, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was on Good Morning America 6 days later with my doctor, telling people about it. So it's like when you share something that you're not sure you're ready to share is like there's some real magic in that vulnerability. And it resonates with people. That's why it's like not always the best thing to always look like you have your shit together.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
Put together, and that you don't make mistakes, and that you do everything right, or that you always look right. Because there's no connection in that authenticity. There's no fear that you're feared you're going to get judged, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah. And
so
I
it's
think
like in that fear, there's some alchemy. There's some like magic frequency that connects with people, because we all get scared of things.
and we're all super flawed. Ton of issues. Yeah. I also think that's why, for instance, like somebody like Mel Robbins, I think she connects with a lot of women because it's all out there.
She's super real about it.
Yeah, she's super real. She's really vulnerable. She's like, I'm kind of a mess in this way and this way, and I'm not taking, I don't have a bunch of face paint on here. I'm just here. And I think in an age of endless filters and people only showing their highlights, that's really powerful, to your point.
I think there's just as much of it as you can possibly do. I don't think I'm even that good at it. I think that people tend to have...
You're not good at being vulnerable?
Yeah. I'm very transparent, which I think is not vulnerable. Like, I'm just comfortable telling you anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm comfortable to talk about, which I'll tell you about more about the breast implants and what happened, but I'm comfortable to talk about a lot of things. Talking about, my life, or, personal interests, or things just various different things. I'm like pretty transparent. Relationships or whatever, right? But I think vulnerability is that I think I have a big scale for transparency, and then the vulnerability is over at the end, and I'm like,
I think I'm the same. But it might be because you're pretty tough, like you're intense in a lot of ways, and so to find the thing that actually makes you vulnerable, is that hard? Like, is there not that much that actually?
Like Alex Honnold, the climber, that he like think about how big his comfort zone is for climbing up a cliffside, right? Like
exactly.
Like not a lot phases him, right? Maybe it's a practice thing.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
might be true.
I also think at some point there's like a little bit of vulnerability porn too, where it's like, do we always have to show all? I'm careful about showing too much on the internet from a pure vulnerability standpoint, because I think a lot of people then they use it, they kind of weaponize it. It's like, have you ever followed the accounts where they show their cellulite all the time? Like every photo is them with like a lot of cellulite, or like
one girl, like Dana Mesa or Dana something, and she'll like show like how to pose correctly because she worked for a magazine.
Yeah,
she'll show cellulite and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I think there's like a little bit of like, you can get addicted to the vulnerability porn of posting a lot too.
Probably.
So I think it's like
addicted to the attention.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right.
She's so real.
Right, exactly. And so I think it is important, like how you determine what your public brand and persona is, whether it's in business or for a personal brand, is so important, because you can get trapped in it. Like you talked about, you probably at some point were like, I swear to God, if somebody asks me about racing or says the word NASCAR, I'm going to murder them. Like, did you get to that at some point?
Well, at the end of my career, I was just like, how am I going to show up for these 5 to 7 minute interviews where they ask me the same questions every time? And you're like, are you excited to be at this track? Are you excited to be back at this track? Are you excited to be back at this track? To the point where at the end of my career, one time I said to the guy, I was like, is that the best you can do? Like, it was like a press conference to start the weekend off. And like, are you excited to be back at Kansas Sports Speedway? I'm like, is that really the best you could do? Like,
he did.
I'm such a dick, because it's so hard to ask questions. Like, you asking me questions is much more challenging than me sitting over here with all the answers to, or if I don't have it, I say, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is true. And it's hard to ask questions that, one, are interesting to you, but two, are interesting to the audience.
Of course.
Yeah. There's like two things going on.
Sure. Sure. When I was talking to you and interviewing you, I'm thinking like, should I have been asking questions about like more general things? And should I have not talked about being a CEO that much, right? Like, you want to attract to a larger audience, but you don't know if you're always landing and resonating with people. So
yeah, I just find you got to follow your curiosity. And usually if you go to the things that you're really curious on, you're way more interested.
Yeah. And we probably all have generally like similar stuff that we're curious about.
And that's where you can get the weird out. Otherwise, you've been on those interviews where the first thing they ask you is like, Danica, can you tell us a little bit about your story? And you're like, I'd rather die. I mean, that's at least how I feel.
No, how did you start out? How did you get into racing?
Oh, just die. Yeah, 100%. Same thing. Yeah. But
a recorder.
Yeah, exactly. That would be then you'd get a lot of videos on the internet about you. They'd be like, Danica's at it again. I want to talk a little bit about opinion sharing. And I'm obsessing with this lately because I do think we're in a world increasingly where we need people to be able to communicate with one another and have a dialogue that is reasonable, even if we disagree on a few things. And we're losing that in this country, it feels like, and maybe around the world. If we don't agree with somebody on every single point, then they're bad, we're good. And you seem to have gotten really comfortable sharing your truth. What advice do you have for somebody who doesn't know how to do that with any grace?
To share their truth?
Yeah, and share their opinions. And maybe even do it in a way that's, I think a lot of people these days are comfortable sharing their opinions, but it's like shouting at people as opposed to opening up a dialogue.
His first question is, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you have a goal, or are you just shouting? If you're going to complain about something, if you're going to complain about, how your chicken came, but you're eating it anyway, you just complain to complain. But if you actually want a new order or something different, go for it. So if you have a motivation, if you have a goal for the complaint, then, it usually roots you in something somewhat more grounded instead of just spitting off about whatever's crossing your mind that day. And we have so many more platforms to speak your mind anywhere and everywhere. But I think that more than anything, it's that we're having such a hard time. We're having such a hard time listening to someone that doesn't have the same opinion. That's where you grow, right? That's where the open mind is okay, I don't agree with this, but I'm curious. Why do you think that? And then, and then maybe you just at least understand because of something in their past or something they've experienced has given them this sort of perspective. Or maybe you're like, wow, that's actually a really logical reason why. Maybe you're right about that to some degree. I think it's more about being able to have really calm dialogues and a level of curiosity instead of just trying to prove yourself right.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just trying to prove you're right, try and figure out what is right.
Yeah. Do you want to win, or do you want to be right? And I feel like a lot of times people get lost there. You have had a few people on the podcast that are talking about some crazy shit that I was going through, good, bad, or otherwise, I don't know, because they're not my area, but like time travel or reptilians. I listened to this one. I didn't know this was a thing. What do you do when people come on the podcast and you're like, whoa, I know nothing about that, and maybe I don't agree at all?
You mean money?
Yeah.
Business?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, it's not that I know nothing about it. Numbers are my challenge. I have a
lot
lot
of
of business.
disagree with.
What do I really disagree with?
No, when you have somebody come on your podcast and they're talking about lizard people and you're not sure you agree with that, what do you do? What do you do with that?
I'm like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Who told you this? How did you figure this out?
Yeah.
You're trying to understand the source, right? That's usually what you're trying to do when someone has something to say that's kind of crazy. You try and dig deeper into the fact checking of how they got their information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite podcast that you've had that you're like, whoa, this is wild?
Oh, I mean, I've had quite a few of those crazy wild podcasts where we talk about aliens and lizard people and about Palladians and being here on people being inner Earth people, even going in a little bit more potential directions, planet cataclysms that happened and how the Earth was formed and where it came from and various different things. So I love the nature of reality. So I also love to get physicists on, archaeologists, people that are digging literally and metaphorically into where we came from. Because, my dad gives me shit and he's like, why are you asking questions you're not going to get the answer to? I'm like, you're never going to get the answer if you don't ask, right? So you got to start continuing to grow this thought bubble. I think that as Neil deGrasse Tyson, when I interviewed him the first time, I think he said, all the information is this known circle, and as soon as you ask another question and get an answer outside of that circle, the bubble becomes infinitely bigger, proportionately bigger, right? And so it's just the potential questions and possibilities continue to grow and grow. So you have to ask the question, but also, if we start to figure things out, then or at least have a feeling about how it works, this is a game. Life is a game, even if it's not a game, and if we're real and like we're not a simulation, it's still a game. There's still a way to play it. And I want to know how to play it so that I can make the most of it, so that I can be the happiest, be the most successful, have the most experiences, find the most amount of joy, learn the most amount of lessons. Like when I say the things that I'm grateful for, one of them is the lessons. Because that's where I am. That's why I got to where. That's what's put me here now. So, learn how to play the game so I can do a good job.
I love that.
Have a great life.
Have you ever read Shadow of the Wind?
No.
Do you like reading fiction novels?
Reading.
You don't like reading at all?
I read a little, but I don't like reading.
So the way you get
tired. I get so tired.
Is
I watch.
You watch?
Loads of YouTube.
And then you talk to people about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Verbal.
Yeah, and then the way I etch it and remember it.
Yeah.
Is I write it. So if I want to really remember it, then I can write it down and make notes. And then I really remember it.
That's great. I think it's really important for people to learn all the different ways that other people can learn. There's so many stereotypes now about how you have to start your day, how you have to communicate, how you have to run a business.
Ryan Johnson, who I just interviewed the other day,
I love Brian.
Millions of dollars on his health,
Yeah.
It's like his regiment is like...
Oh, it's wild. Dude, I went into his house when I met him last. And
you one of his dinners?
No, I just interviewed him.
Okay.
And I walked into his house. And I was like, oh, good. My socks are matching today. And he looked at me and he's like, why would your socks not be matching? And I'm like, have you never not had matching socks? And he's like, why would I ever have matching socks? And I was just like, this is a crazy conversation. And I was like, you are exactly who I thought you'd be, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. But I thought he gets a lot of crazy shit on the internet. I thought he was lovely and present.
Same thing. Very.
And his life was kind of lovely. I'm like, yeah, man, you get a world of hurt.
Oh, he has like a little bit of sort of like a techie nerdiness to him.
Of course.
Because that's the world he came from.
Yeah.
So there's like a little bit of that. But he's super, like, I'm not going to say super normal because what he does, but he's very easy to talk to.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to talk to. Very relatable. And like you said, very present.
Yeah.
Ask questions. And so, yeah, I found him to be lovely too.
You had a video where I saw the most valuable lesson you've ever learned in your life that you talked to your dad about. Do you remember what that was?
It's probably the one about, I feel like that's the one that the Tom Bilyeu clip is the one that plays a lot, which is, I think about looking forward. It's like if you turn around and that's the way you go. So my dad would tell me when I was young and he'd be like, I don't want to see you turning around. Because in a go-kart, you could like get up and you could turn around and you could look at where the other go-karts were to see what your gap was. And he would tell me not to ever do that because that's the direction you're going then. If you're thinking about what's behind you, that's where you're going. And so I thought about that all the way through my career, even into, all the way through NASCAR, where I'd be like, if I'd be looking in my mirror a lot and then I'd commit myself to not looking in my mirror, just focusing on being as perfect as possible. And I'd say like for 3 laps, I'm just going to focus and inevitably look back and there are 10 car leaks back then.
Wow.
So it's just a good metaphor for life to, it's kind of like boils down to having goals. Like you've got to have some goals, right? Because that's like the thing out there. If you don't have a goal, how do you even know what to do next?
Yeah. What other advice have you gotten from your dad that's left a mark on you?
The first one that comes to mind wasn't from my dad. I'm sure my dad's taught me many other things, but it was my first like real boss, Bobby Rahal. And I was young, and he said that he wanted to create a financial situation for himself that allowed him to have the same kind of lifestyle after racing as he did during. I guess that would be assuming that he spends his money while he's racing, and then when he's done, if he has none left, save. So he told me to save, but he said, don't spend all your money. But he started other businesses. So he got really into car dealerships and different things. So I always thought about that, about a general infrastructure for my life, not just like a racing situation that would extend beyond my career and be something that I could lean into for other forms of revenue.
I don't know if this is public, but what was the most you ever got paid for a sponsorship? Did you ever get a big, giant check?
So the sponsors usually went through the team. So those were 30 million and things like that. Like
how many people on a team?
It varied. In IndyCar, I really don't know the exact numbers. I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere around, because there's people at the shop that work and then there's people that travel. In NASCAR, there's a separate pit crew that comes and does the tire changes. But in IndyCar, I don't know, maybe they call it like 20 people per car, maybe.
Wow.
And then in NASCAR, maybe it's 30, maybe more, because there's just a lot more turnover with cars and working on things. So, but the teams are big, you know, and then they have to have marketing people and PR people. And
so you get a cut after all the expenses run through?
No, I negotiate my deal with the team. Say I go to the team.
Yeah.
And it's like they have to make an offer of what they're willing to pay me, right? And it's like, oh, we're going to pay you $10. And I'm like, no. And then they come back and they have to do it again. And you just like, you just get your salary.
So you get a set dollar amount.
I get a salary.
And then you get a percentage of the total earnings.
And then there'll be like a percentage of prize money.
Yeah. Okay. Did all sponsorships you ever got had to go through that? So it was like a little socialism.
Except for,
NASCAR?
Yeah. And then
if you're in the ad in the bikini looking hot, the team takes a portion of that.
Well, I mean, that's the ad's happening because the sponsor's advertising with me. They're on the car, but it's not like they.
So it's not just.
So they still have to, the sponsor still has to spend money to run the ad, right? So there's the money for the sponsorship budget for the team, and then they have to have a marketing budget.
What about like that GoDaddy stage you were in?
Yeah. So the only time I got the money directly to me was when I did my last 2 races in 2018, when I did Daytona 500 and the Indy 500.
Yeah.
I negotiated the deal with the team. I had the money and I negotiated with the team.
Good for you.
And I guess all along that's probably how I should have done it, right?
Yeah, it's hard
because I ended up suing my IndyCar team in the end because I was in a profit sharing arrangement with them, and they weren't providing data, like the information and the contracts and the numbers, and so I just trusted that they were gonna. And in the end, I brought in tremendous amount of money that kept a lot of cars afloat, and they didn't pay me the way that they should have.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're not alone. That happened to me in my first couple jobs. I think, if I learn one thing, it's that trust, but verify and contract. Yeah. And like always have the ink signed. And the problem is when you're young, you don't know what a good contract or a bad one looks like. Like there's so much knowledge that you have to learn. I mean, none of us went to law school. So that's totally normal, but that's fascinating.
Right. And that's why, when I talked to you at first and I said, like, I have businesses, but I own all of them. It's because I was, so gun shy from doing this deal and getting bit that it just was so much easier to not have to answer to anyone or anyone answer to me. Like it was just,
yeah.
And that way, if I took the risk, it was my ass if it didn't work, but it was also my benefit.
So do you have an agent now that you work with?
I do have an agent.
Okay.
I went back and forth. I had an agent my whole career, and then I didn't have an agent. Then I kind of got an agency, and then I got rid of that agency. And then I ended up back at the same agency that I had for a long time.
Isn't it weird how people in Hollywood that are agents all have an accent? Have you ever noticed that? They have like a Hollywood speak.
Maybe it's like a cadence.
Yeah, they have a cadence. That's exactly
right? There's
what
like
it is.
A forward cadence or a delivery. It might not be, but there's like a,
right.
It's almost like so if the teleprompter came on and I was reading, I'd be like, and so here we are tonight, Codie Sanchez, it's great to meet you. There's a cadence to the way that I'm talking to you right now because it keeps the listener entertained. So like there's probably like a Hollywood cadence.
That's right. That was a really good, I guess that is your job. But yeah, I literally, I got on the phone with the one the other day. And I was like, why do you guys all kind of talk the same way? Also, it's like a yoga instructor. You go to the yoga studio and they're like, and then we are going here and what we are doing next. And if you talk to Sally, I bet she doesn't talk like that at all. But yeah, I do find Hollywood to be a fascinating place. So I'm sure you have many stories. Maybe that's where the reptiles actually came from for the podcast. You ever met one?
A reptile?
Yeah.
I think I met some aliens. I don't know if they were reptiles.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like night
aliens? Just meet someone that's weird.
Yeah.
and like just very oddball. Or I think Brian Johnson might be an alien.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't. If he or Elon was an alien, I'd be like, yeah.
Elon's probably, yeah. I mean, these people that are just like so unique and different.
Balaji, have you met him?
Who?
Balaji Srinivasan. Brilliant. Coinbase CTO. Different kind of alien. I'll ask him.
But yeah, I mean, or just people that like can look right through you.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I did do like a tiny bit of plant medicine a few times.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I know. And I did psilocybin and MDMA.
Together.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And then DMT.
Mm-hmm. All together.
Like over a few days.
Okay.
With
so
like
DMT, you just vaped it, smoked it, right?
Right. Uh-huh. And then something where they blow this like ash up your nose.
Yeah.
What's that?
Rafe?
Okay, yeah, that one. I did not like that one.
Yeah, I saw that being done to someone one time, and It was before I did ayahuasca, and they're like, well, you can do it at ayahuasca too. They were like, oh, if you want to heighten, they don't deliver like that.
Yeah.
Like if this feels like like in service or in honor to where you're at, and if you want to,
That's the exact verbiage.
if this is in alignment for you, and I was like, thanks, because I watched it and it was like,
Yeah, you took it. They're like, like,
oh, that
why'd
was
you do that to
scary
me?
shit.
Yeah, then you're like, it's not cute. And one of my girlfriends is like, I loved that. Now I do it every morning in the sauna. I was like, you also are a reptile because that's not normal. Every morning in the sauna, like a psychopath. But what I did notice is some of the people who I think have done a ton of plant medicine stuff. Like I have one guy who I love, Matthew, shout out. But you look into his eyes, you're like, I don't know. Like they're dark. I don't know what's happening in there.
Well, dude, I've done 2 real ceremonies.
Okay.
2 years ago and 4 years ago.
But I didn't do ayahuasca. Yours is probably more intense.
2 years ago, I did a big psilocybin. 5 grams, big journey.
Yeah.
It was an intentional journey. It was just me.
Yeah.
And then with a facilitator.
Yeah.
And then 2 years before that, I did ayahuasca. And that's it. And I've been integrating that shit for years.
Same.
Like I can't even imagine how confused I'd be about what worked and what information I got if I was doing it like monthly, or weekly,
so
True. I mean, I've recreationally done psilocybin and things, but like not enough to like blast off into the universe in a big way. Sometimes you get a little insight. You're like, whoa, I think I see geometry in the air. You're like, so you can see some cool stuff. But I've never met the aliens. I haven't met the aliens. I usually just see myself or people or scenarios.
Yeah.
But I think that it's and it's actually becoming a much more popular thing within like big tech and like Silicon Valley people. And
dude, Austin, nobody drinks. Everybody's like, would you like a micro? I went to a party.
Yeah.
They were all sitting around a table. They had a tray of options. I was like, it's 5 o'clock on Sunday. I'm fine.
Wow,
I gotta be.
You're strapping into the next 4 hours.
Exactly.
Because you got to wait for it to kick in for
they have
an hour, and then it lasts for about 3 hours, and then you come down for a half an hour. So
no, I'm out.
it's a whole night.
Yeah,
and then you also don't eat.
Yeah.
Which is fine in a way, but then also you're kind of like, no, that's not healthy. And if you ate right before, it's like, well, then it's not going to work as well. It's like you got to like carve out like half of a day.
You do, and I think you have to have some respect to it too.
Well, I mean, there's definitely some perspective that you're really, opening up a different realm. And so I think that, it's a little less risky on a sort of recreational, smaller dose sort of scale. But I think that when you're doing the really big doses, I think that you really open yourself up to and energy, different energy, spirit, energy. Yeah. And without proper guidance or protection in those spaces, I think can be a little bit dangerous.
I think that's very true. Yeah, one of my times I got trapped in a PowerPoint, which tells you how fun I am at parties. I was like, yeah, how terrible is that? Everybody else is like
psilocybin, like you go like you're like, okay, it's 2:15, and then you go and then you look down, you think it's probably got to be 3 o'clock, and it's like 2:24, and you're like,
I'm never leaving.
It's gonna last forever.
I just had such a pleasure having you here. Thanks for being on the podcast.
This is really fun. Thank you so much. And thank you for helping educate me too.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell me, so of all the things that you're doing right now, where should people go to support Danica or to learn more?
I mean, you can learn about my personality through my podcast and the people that
It's a great podcast.
Thanks. It covers a lot of bases, for sure. And they're all very selfish interests of curiosities that I have. I make wine, so people like to drink wine. I make 2 different wines. Somnium is a Napa Valley wine. Danica Rosé is made in Provence, France. I also have a little candle company I started after a trip from Egypt with, essential oils that are meaningful for their locations in the house.
And what's that one called?
Voyen.
And what's the best website?
Well, on my social, I do all my own Instagram stuff, but we have other platforms.
Okay.
I think.
So go
do with them, but they're there.
Danica Patrick, Instagram, link in bio for all the things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And if you comment on this podcast on YouTube, we'll give away my new favorite candles from Danica to 3 of you guys that comment and tell us your favorite part of the episode. 3 best, most underrated side hustles.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Big Deal Podcast. I'm Codie Sanchez. And I found out something fascinating the other day, which is that 87% of you guys, people who watch our episodes, are not subscribed to this channel. So I have an ask for you all. If you could subscribe to the channel, this is the way that we grow. We can have bigger guests. We can hire the right team members. And it's only really through you guys doing this one simple thing. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, can I ask you a favor this week? Can you hit that subscribe button? Thank you. Truly, we can't do this without you. You've built sleeper businesses basically as a career, it feels like. You know, crazy side hustles, then grew them into actual companies. These are cash flow producing, non-venture backed companies. Almost anybody could start if they were willing to take the risk and do the hard thing of actually working them. Is there one that you're like currently obsessed with now? Or is there like a business that you're obsessed with at the moment?
Man, it's like asking which kid is my favorite. I just love business. So so I was in Cameron, Missouri last week, population 8,000 people. I pull into this hardware store and I see this cute couple, 30s, kids out by the road selling pizzas, right? I have like an outdoor kitchen with an authentic pizza oven. I geek out over it. And so I had to talk to these guys. They've got like a $700 pizza oven, a $100, like a pop-up canopy, and they're just slinging these authentic pizzas. And so I'm like, how much money are you making here? And $700 a day. Their kids make the pizzas, they wave signs. And I said, well, what do you pay? They're in the parking lot of a hardware store. What do you pay to be here? Well, nothing. Like, they just hope that we can bring them customers and they bring us customers. This is like middle of nowhere, middle America, right? Like, and they're making $700 a day, 80% margins, selling pizzas from an oven that they bought at Home Depot, right? Like, I just love stuff like that because who couldn't do that? Like, who couldn't do that business if they really had to make some money?
Isn't that wild? And if you just like, for people who aren't, who are public school math kids like me, I mean, if you take, let's round it to 1,000 times 30 days in a month, we're talking about that's a $30,000 a month business.
Yeah.
If you have 80% margins, we're talking about you're taking home a top 1% level salary, $200,000+.
But how many people in Cameron, Missouri are saying, oh, there's just no opportunities here?
I know. You know what else kills me that I think you prove a lot and is like one of the missions of this company? It's like your shirt. You can just do things. And in fact, I think you'll be shocked by how often people don't charge you.
Yeah.
Like we did this whole experiment with vending machines where we put vending machines in a bunch of different locations. And then we did videos about them and shared the numbers. And everybody was like, you left out the rent. I'm like, I didn't pay rent.
Yeah.
I know that you can theoretically, and you might have to sometimes, but like I just didn't in this case. And so I love that story. I was curious for you, is there one business that you've seen like ever that you're just like, this business is such a sleeper and almost anybody could start it?
So a year ago, we own a tree trimming business, right? And tree trimming businesses are great. I call it a binary outcome, right? The customer needs a tree gone. You show up, the tree's gone, 5-star review, invoice paid, right? Whereas other businesses, it's just like custom home building. It's not. There's so much that could go wrong. But stump grinding is kind of a pain in tree trimming because, if you're a tree trimmer, you've got a truck with a chainsaw, and if you got to grind the stump, it's like, I got to go to the rental place, put it on my trailer, gas it up, pay $300 to rent it, charge $300 to grind it. It's just a pain. So I was talking with my business partner about this, and we thought, I bet there's a world where you could be a business-to-business stump grinding business. And that wasn't really a thing, right? So we were just riffing on this on my podcast, and as an experiment, because I'm curious and I have to get my questions answered, right? So I scraped every tree trimming business in Houston, and I'm in Dallas. And so I wanted like a sister city that was comparable. And I hired a virtual assistant to call up every tree trimming business and say, hey, who grinds your stumps? Do you own a stump grinder? Do you rent them? Theoretically, if you could ever outsource that entirely to a stump grinding business that only served tree trimming businesses, would you do it? If so, what would you pay? And the results were incredible. Like 20% of these tree trimmers would love to outsource it. And so we were just talking about this, and people went out and started business-to-business stump grinding businesses based on this theory and research. And this one guy made $300,000 his first year. And he rented the thing, and he rented the trailer, and he wasn't wealthy, but he's making like 60-70% margins grinding stumps for these tree trimming businesses.
I love it. Well, boring businesses that's my love language.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting is two things. One, it doesn't take that much to get the research, right? You literally just cold called, or in this case, because you have an assistant, had somebody else cold call a bunch of people and ask them 3 or 4 questions. And the other case of the pizza company, you just were willing to do the thing most people won't, which is, how much revenue do you make a day?
Yeah.
Like, how often do people not give you the answer to that question? I'd be curious.
Rarely, honestly.
Right?
You just have to ask.
I would say it's like 95% of the time they tell you. And why? Because they're proud of it.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever ran a business and you know what it feels like to actually get somebody to pay you for your service, how hard it is.
Yeah.
You want to tell people.
Yeah.
I am old now. And so my back has been hurting, which is so on par. And so I go to this PT. And he was telling me a story about his background. And I'm like, that's incredible. And I started telling him the percentage of businesses that actually hit 100,000, then 1 million, then 10 million a year. It's kind of rare, actually. And so he was like, can I tell you my revenue number? And I was like, yeah, tell me, what is it? He's like, 310,000. I'm like, that's amazing, because you don't have any employees either, right? So he's got an 80% margin business.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, with your tree trimming business, when did you start that?
2 years ago.
And how much cash did you have to start it with?
I had cash to start it with, but I grew up poor, right? And so I always like to say constraints equal creativity. And I've never been VC funded. I've tried to raise money. It's a lot harder than people think. And so I've been forced to be creative, right? And that's never left me. Now to this day, like, I can afford to do certain things, but I'm so cheap and or willing to be creative that I don't have to. So with the tree trimming business, I had a truck. I found a young, hungry entrepreneur that had just graduated from college, and I knew how to start it because I had helped a friend do it as a favor a couple of years prior. And so we didn't own a chainsaw. We still don't own a chainsaw. We just found subcontractors and subbed it all out to them. And so
can you explain what that is, subcontractors, if people don't know?
Yeah, so we just found tree trimming businesses that did the work themselves. And we just said, hey, we're going to quote $1,600 for this. What would you quote? $800. Okay, cool. We're just going to mark up all of your quotes to us 100%. And we'll take that margin. We'll bring you jobs. We'll keep you busy. Cool.
Yeah, that's wild. And now how big is that business? Do you share the revenue numbers?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing $500,000 a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And this is you and a kid who was in college?
Yeah, he's the operating partner.
And how old is he now?
He's 23.
Wow.
Yeah, he had no experience in the industry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do you think, what's the formula? So let's say somebody right now has no money, or they've lost all their money, and they want to go out and start a business. What is the formula that you need to be able to have a cash flowing business that you start?
Yeah. Well, you can't have no money and pride. That doesn't work, right? So you have to be willing to work, and you have to be humble enough to go ask people for things or to go sell. If you have pride and you're broke at the same time, I don't know what to do for you, right? So the formula is to be curious about the world and to answer those questions you have about these potential opportunities immediately, right? You're familiar with habit stacking, right? If we want to do 20 push-ups every morning, we should probably do it right after we brush our teeth, because pairing those two habits together makes us more likely to do it. So I'm only kind of connecting the dots looking back. I didn't do this intentionally, but as I look back on why I've started so many things, it's because I genuinely love commerce, business, entrepreneurship. And so I'll go to a restaurant and wonder, man, how much are these guys doing? And then I'll answer that question immediately. I pair the habit of getting the question with the habit of answering it. And then that kind of trains me to act, to have a bias for action. And then if you stack that up over years, you end yourself having started 75 businesses, and it can get a little stressful, but it's very fun.
That's okay. You could kill some babies, right?
Yeah.
Or sell them. That's my preferred method.
That's right.
God, I've started and bought so many businesses. And it's why we stopped saying how many businesses we own. Because I'm like, if I say 30 today, I know that 2 of those businesses I'm probably going to sell.
Yep.
I might close another one. And it started to feel like not very authentic.
Yeah.
And then also, it's not always a good thing to own 26 businesses.
Yeah.
It's probably better to own 1 or 3 that are way bigger
I agree.
than 26. So I was like, people think it's cool. I'm like, man, something's always going wrong. So it's not, just start with 1, just 1. So if, in that instance, I'm sort of curious, you started this business with this guy. How did the guy, show that he was competent enough to be your operator. So if like somebody young is watching this and they're like, man, I want to go pitch Chris or Cody or whatever rich person I know on a business to start.
Yep.
What do I have to present in order for you to say, I'm going to give you 50% of this company?
Yeah. I kind of regret what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. So I've noticed a direct correlation, you probably have too, between the people that have just gone all out to get my attention and then their performance after I hire them or partner with them, right? Whereas some reach out kind of half-heartedly.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes I've hired them in the past and it was just, they kind of did a half-hearted job. But the people that are like, just blowing me up everywhere. Like, I will do this. I will do this. Like, I promise I'll be your hardest worker. I don't know anything. I'm humble, but I'm willing to do all the work. That was James. He had never had a home service business. He had like flipped iPhones on Facebook Marketplace, but he was just hungry. And so I like to look for humility, gratitude, someone who's like, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, and some sort of an entrepreneurial gene, right? Because I don't want to make them entrepreneurial. They have to have that. If they have those three things, then it's almost 100% certain they'll be successful.
Yeah, I always loved the Munger quote where he says, if you're going to have a mistress, pick an old one because she'll be grateful for it. And I think that it's true of business partners too. He used to, describe Buffett as the best thing that we have in our partnership is we're both grateful for it. I think that's true in marriage. It's true in business.
Absolutely.
And so if you could optimize for intelligence, history, sophistication, or hunger and gratitude, go left, not right. Love that. Okay, so let's say that there's somebody listening who has zero time on their hands. Maybe they actually have money, but they don't have time. What business would you tell them to do, or what would you tell them to start?
That's a good question. I would say that they should start liquidating things. Buying things from like Costco Overstock. There's a half a dozen websites out there that sell pallets of returned items, defective items, or items that might be perfect. You just don't know. Like you could buy a pallet full of Blackstone grills for $100, right? So someone like that has some money to buy stuff like that, and it doesn't have a lot of time. They can start by selling a few things on the side, learning how it all works, and then partnering with someone like James, my business partner in the tree business, to do it for him. But I think it's very important that you don't outsource things too quickly. You really got to get in the weeds so you can recognize the weeds before you get out of the weeds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it's really hard to hire well until you've done well.
Yeah.
And so first do good, then hire good. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, and you kind of have highlighted all these different businesses. I want to go over some of the best in the works. We actually took one of your ideas off of Twitter. We didn't give you enough credit for it. So we got an internet duel. But and we did it here in the office.
Yeah.
And we basically, the idea was, can you buy things off Facebook Marketplace and have AI do everything for you? And my too long didn't read at the end was like, no, like you got to, there's some human
Still
in the
early.
loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for people who are entrepreneurs and hungry, I think both you and I, it was like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like once you start to play the game, you realize just that 20% off your stack is so valuable.
Yeah.
So if like right now you had to look at all the side hustles, all the businesses that exist, what do you think are the three best, most underrated side hustles?
Okay. All right. So you say right now, I'm going to take that literally. So we're in August, and I came across this woman last year who decorates porches with pumpkins. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, it's not because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dallas chick, wasn't she?
Heather. We've since become friends. And she's making over $1 million a year just buying wholesale pumpkins from someone that anyone could Google and find a wholesale pumpkin supplier. Buys them by the truckload and decorates them on porches. And it's a beautiful business because it's so visual. If you put your iPhone on a tripod, put it on time lapse, post that to Instagram, the algorithm loves it, right? So there's all your customers. And that's what she's done. And she does an amazing job, and she's an amazingly hard worker. So I'm not downplaying, like, it's just a good idea. Anyone can do it. It's very profitable. She charges between $600 and $1,300 to decorate a porch with pumpkins. I'm a customer. My wife loves it. And I love this opportunity because you could start with almost nothing, an Instagram account, a little money for pumpkins, and then you could make it not seasonal. She prefers for it to be seasonal. She wants to be with her family during Christmas, but there are people that do this for Christmas decorations. I talked to a guy in Pennsylvania that does it for flower. Front porch flower decorations. He charges a few $100s a quarter, and he'll swap out flowers every month.
I'd pay for that.
Yeah. And he's in Long Island. Like this stuff would work anywhere. And it's very visual. It goes viral very naturally. That's one, because it's high margin, it's unique, and you don't need a lot of money to do it.
You know what the other thing about that one is? When you don't have a lot of money, you don't realize how much money other people have.
Yeah.
And that they want, like, the thing about rich people, they want to spend their money.
Yep.
And so I remember when I was broke and poor, the idea of some mom putting $1,300 to put pumpkins on their front yard in Dallas would be crazy. And then you drive in Highland Park and you're like, these bitches, they spend a lot more than $1,300, right?
Yeah.
Like Dallas decorations are another brand, but every state has city centers like that.
Yep.
So that's really smart. Okay, so first we're going front porch decoration.
All right. So I met this guy in Utah that this is a business you could literally start with no money. And I mean that genuinely. As long as you have a friend with a truck or a trailer, and you have some humility, like we talked about, he goes on Facebook Marketplace and he buys washers and dryers, or he'll get them for free because people give them away all the time. They're moving, their lease ends tomorrow, they got to get it out, right? And then he goes back to Facebook Marketplace and rents them out for $100 to $200 a month to people that live in apartments, that have hookups, that don't want to buy it because they're afraid it's going to break. He rents them out, and he's making 6 figures a year. Working 5 hours a week. He has another company. He has an RV park. He's doing all kinds of stuff. This is just one of his businesses. But what's more approachable than that? Like, you're going to have to carry a washer upstairs. It's going to be hot. It's going to suck. You're going to have some that get stolen from you. But find me a business that doesn't have problems. Right? I'm still waiting for that one.
Find me a job that doesn't have problems. Let's go low level. Okay, I like it. What do we think about the third one? I like also that there's one that like women are going to do. You're probably not decorating pumpkins on a porch. Your wife might though.
Yeah.
And then your wife is probably not schlepping big machines.
Yep.
But you might.
Yep.
Okay, what's our third?
Okay, so HVAC companies. They have these service contracts, either commercial or residential, where they check in every 6 months, make sure everything is working. Part of that contract is they have to clean the coils on the outside of the units. That's just like a preventative maintenance. But that's a pain for them because you got to have water. You got to hook up water. You got to have chemicals. And it just doesn't go into their normal workflow. So this guy that I met, he owned a pressure washing company. He started doing that for HVAC companies and saying, I'll just do all your coil cleaning. And then he got a grocery store customer just by walking into the grocery store. Can I talk to the manager? Who does your coil cleaning? These guys, but they forget sometimes. They hate doing it. It's the worst part of their job. But that's another good framework, right? Find a business that does something, find the things that they hate doing, and just kind of unbundle that, right? So now this guy, his whole business is washing the coils outside of these grocery store HVAC units. And he says that he never loses a customer. It pays him, I think it's like $500,000-$600,000 a year in this random rural area that you would never think this opportunity exists. And he's like, this is my secret weapon. Like, and he's owned a bunch of businesses. He's like, this is the best business I've ever had.
That's so interesting. You know what else is true also? You go up the ladder of entrepreneurship. And so when somebody's like, that's a terrible business, which I hear sometimes. I'm like, maybe for you, if you're making $1 million a year and you're a software engineer, probably not a great business for you. But like one of my favorite businesses back in the day was a podcast production studio. I bought part of it. It was great. It was a service business. Actually, the podcast production was all remote. So it was just like you ship in the, video edits and they would edit for you, thumbnail, title, etc. So I owned part of that business and then I sold it back to the owner at some point. People are like, why? If you're making a couple $100,000 a year in a business, why? It was just too small at that stage. And so, but for Jonathan, the guy who took it over, he still runs that business. He loves that business. Yeah. And he's really happy at the level. He actually doesn't want it to grow. He's like, $500K a year business, perfect. Like, I don't want anything else. And so I think people underestimate how there's like, not everybody has a size 10 shoe. You're probably,
12 and a half.
What? You're tall. That's big.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird if you had a size 6,
It'd be weird.
Yeah, I can't let the internet know that if that was the case. It would roast you. Okay, let's talk about worse businesses. So if you had no money again, or we're just starting out, but we're going to save people decades of mistakes and hours, what are the businesses that you would never touch with a 10-foot pole?
I'm going to talk about binary outcomes again. Okay, so, oh man, I had a third-party logistics business once. And Basically, e-commerce brands would come to us and we would store their products in a warehouse, pick, pack, and ship them out for them, right? Oh. We were doing $400,000 a month and not making any money. It was a miserable business because it did not have binary outcomes. So the business owner, our customer, was like so emotionally invested in his inventory. Hey, I did that big sale. Why haven't they shipped yet? Hey, these went to the wrong address. Hey, my inventory went stale because maybe it was food. Aren't you keeping track of these expiration dates? There were hundreds of things that could go wrong. And literally, if you click the wrong thing, you could ship 3,000 packages to 3,000 wrong homes. Ask me how I learned that, right? And those aren't our packages, which makes it even worse, right? Yeah. So we were making all this money top line, with no profit, losing money, right? It was not a binary outcome. It's not a simple business. We were competing with like Amazon. Who's going to do that? So anything, like I've started 75, 80 businesses. The common thread between all of them are just non-binary outcomes. Too complex, not simple.
Yeah. Okay. So worst is 3PL. What's your second and third?
Oh man, house cleaning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why house cleaning?
It was just a lot of ways to screw up. It was.
I guess same thing.
Yeah. There's a hair, you left a hair on the floor.
Oof.
Or you scuffed the baseboard. No, we didn't. That was there first. Like all for $150, you know? Yeah. Like there are businesses where that stuff is worth it. Yeah. Right? Where like those headaches are worth it. But if it's low ticket and complex, stay away.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that. What's the third?
Custom home building.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever do that?
Yeah. Well, I had a business partner that was a custom home builder and he branched off and we started starting one together. And that was like headache to the extreme, right? On one hand, you have a homeowner that's putting their life savings in something that they're going to live in forever. These were nice homes. And on our side, we had permit issues, weather issues, subcontractor issues, insurance issues, so many things that could go wrong. And I've built a custom home for myself. I've been on both sides of it. Stay away. Like high ticket, but even at like $1 million home, it's just not worth it.
What price point home do you think it starts becoming worth it?
Multiple millions.
Yeah. I think that's almost the secret in every business is that if you're not, it's not if you're not good, but like you have to have enough margin in the business to be able to deal with all of the headache from mistakes.
Yes.
And like more margin, more you can handle mistakes.
Yeah.
Like you're like, all right, you pay me enough for that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, I have a couple of friends that are custom home builders, but they're at the $10 to $12 million mark. And in that amount, you're making millions of dollars on every home. You're like, sure, Nancy, the tile's wrong. Ship it back to Italy. No problem, right?
Because your margin affords it. Yeah.
Right. But if you're doing it on $1 million home, which to young Codie, I'd be like, that's so much money.
Yep.
Not in home building, it's not. So you actually can't get compensated enough for that. And that's the real magic of entrepreneurship is getting enough reps where you can kind of just look at a business and go, oh, that's not going to work that way.
Yep.
And the only way to do that is just to get in the game, right?
Yeah, you got to, and stay in the game.
Yeah, and keep playing it. The richest people in the world didn't just build, they bought. They didn't come from riches. They used other people's money and a ridiculous amount of sweat. People will tell you you can't. Yet didn't you know there isn't a multi-billion-dollar business out there that didn't do some type of acquisition? Amazon, 110 companies bought. Facebook, 96. The Sage of Omaha himself started buying a gumball route. They didn't listen to those who said they couldn't. They found aging owners, made connections, took risks, repeated. Today, an owner. Let's talk about, dude, I heard a ridiculous story of yours that you're like, which one?
It's probably true.
About Texas snacks and the Buc-ee's heist.
Yeah. Oh, heist. That's a good word. I like that. So for those that aren't familiar with Buc-ee's, it's a chain of gas stations. They do billions of dollars a year from 50 locations, right? It's just an amazing business, privately held. And it's an amazing brand. It's like a Disney, right? They have a great brand. And so I went there 6 years ago and I walked in and with my cousin, who's also a business nerd. And we were like, he's like, do you know Disney sells like, I'm making this up, I don't remember the number, but like 15 billion a year of shirts. Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I wonder how much these guys sell online of their shirts. So we go to their website and I distinctly remember there's no shop button. It's like, where do you buy these shirts? And these gas stations are in these far-flung rural areas. And so you can't get to it unless you're going down to the beach, right? And so that was just like a light bulb moment. And it was at this time that I was running that fulfillment business. And so we thought, wow, we need to get them as a customer. And instead of just like fulfilling their products, we're going to bring them online and fulfill their products. This could be a white whale for us, right? So I start reaching out to the executive team. No response. So we're like, what if we just try to get their attention by launching the business for them? And then just cold emailing reporters and saying, Buc-ee's won't answer us, so we're going to launch this business for them. Good. Yeah. And his first question is like, Chris, we're going to get sued. And I was like, that's going to be a good story though. Right? If we get sued, then we can just say, okay, leave me alone. I'm done.
Exactly.
I'm done. But I was like, but what if we don't get sued? It could be a big business. It could be a big partnership. It could be tens of millions of dollars. Who knows? And so my business partner and I, we bought one of everything from the store near my house. It cost about $3,000. I hired a photographer for $200. We took pictures of everything in their store, put it on a website, cold emailed reporters and said, we want to get Buc-ee's attention. So we're selling everything that they own online for them. And they said, that's a great story. We had a dozen news outlets write about us and we went viral and did $200,000 of sales in our first month. And we do millions of dollars a year now, 5 years later.
You're still doing it today?
Yeah. It's a great business.
I bet. So you're the one responsible for all the Buc-ee's merch I now see all over the country.
That's right. We don't have like an official partnership with them, but we have an understanding and they support us. They help us buy it in bulk, but we just resell it. We go to one of their stores, we load up a box truck full of pallets, bring it back to our warehouse and sell it online, ship it all over the world.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So you're not even actually their like licensed provider?
Nope.
That's so Texas.
Yeah.
I love that. They're
Very
like,
Texas.
yeah, fuck it. You're going to buy it at a full price. Go ahead, man.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I like doing things where like worst case is a good story
Yeah.
because most people don't have good stories, right?
That's such a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because that is the game of entrepreneurship.
Do it for the story. Someone put that on a t-shirt. Do it for the story.
Yeah. I think the kids say do it for the plot. I think that's
Sure.
what the Gen Zers say today. That's what my non-Gen Zers in this room say. But they, I think you're right. You know, a lot of times, I'm sure you get asked this question too. Well, I want to create content and be on the internet. So what do I talk about? I'm like, if you want to be interesting, you got to do interesting shit.
Yeah.
So before you get online and like try to talk about a bunch of stuff you haven't done, go do the thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not suffering from stories.
Right.
Why? Because you're
Yeah.
doing wild things
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, I'm trying really hard to get one of our portfolio companies, Pinks, and they're a window cleaning company.
Mm-hmm.
They have an incredible brand. And I'm trying to get them, I'm like, all the dudes are good looking, right? They're like good looking, young, wholesome guys. I'm like, we need a sudsy calendar. Like, I think
that's
it
a great
would
idea.
kill it. You know what I should
Yeah.
do? Do their photos without their permission and put it on the
You
internet.
should. You should.
I'm going to say, Chris, maybe do it. But I laughed with them because, you know, we're moving into commercial. So they do a lot more commercial work now, but they do a lot of residential. And that usually goes through the lady of the house.
Yeah.
And there's this like idea of a cute pool boy that's already been created in the zeitgeist, right? You don't exactly go, God, my window cleaner was a real looker yesterday.
Yeah.
That's not like a thing. But with this company, you kind of do. So we've played into it slightly with the marketing, and it's funny and it's cute.
Yeah.
And most of these guys are like Christian, married, super wholesome, but they do it for the plot. They like don't take themselves that serious.
Yeah.
And so the two founders, you know, you have like, I don't know, 170 locations or something now. And their one business does $3 million a year, just like their Austin-based business. But they're doing kick flips and, you know, putting ridiculous thing in their Instagram because they don't have a lot of ego about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They're not too precious and they do it for the plot. Do it for the
That's so
story.
good.
All right. Somebody make a shirt for Chris.
Do it. Yeah. Do it
Yeah.
for the
We'll wear it on the podcast. All right. Did you get into, go tell me.
No, I was with the Pinks guys. I have an idea, so I got to get it out.
Tell me.
Yeah, so you should make those calendars.
Yeah.
because that would be viralable.
Wouldn't it?
Right? It would be
Okay,
so
thank
good.
you. I thought so.
And then you should take your whole customer database and find commonalities by the zip code of like what type of they probably already know this, but like our average customer has a $732,000 home. We charge $350 a quarter. That's $1,400 a year, and they stay for 5 years,
Yeah.
right? So $7,000 lifetime value, right? Okay, what would we pay to acquire that customer? Let's say $500. What does it cost to print and ship a calendar? Let's say $20. Okay, worst case. They should scrape all of the homes that fit that criteria, the demographic of the owner, the race, the gender, everything, and permissionlessly ship them that calendar for free.
Such a good
And
idea.
they're going to hang it and they're going to look at that Pinks logo every time they see it.
And they're going to put it on Instagram.
And
They're
they're
going to
put it on
tag that
Instagram,
everywhere.
and that $20 could return 20,000, right? Why wouldn't you do that?
100%. Well, that is the thing, I think about it a lot here at this company. So I'm in finance. So, I bought companies, I sold companies. I never really thought about marketing. In finance, you don't do ads.
Yeah.
You don't market.
You can't really.
You can't. There's all these regulations about them. And if you do, you have to keep them for 7 years. It's kind of a crazy thing. And so now that we've come here, I've started to really appreciate that most marketing is so boring.
Yeah.
It's so
bad.
boring. And I get why, because it's embarrassing when you put your face on YouTube and you're making a stupid face and you're like actually slightly more sophisticated, fingers crossed, than you are portrayed on the internet.
Yep.
You can have ego about that. Or you can be like, do I want to look rich or do I want to be rich?
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
You got to make a choice, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like an extreme introvert. I don't like going
way.
out. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
I'm posting these videos in the comfort of my own home, but going outside is like not for me. And so like the thought of short form videos was just like so foreign to me.
Interesting.
But there's a whole world on the other side of cringing at yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, like no one even cares.
Nobody cares.
Like the guy at church or your neighbor who sees that video of you talking about, he doesn't care. He's not thinking about you. No. So just do it.
Yeah. One of my best mentors ever told me, there's somebody who is dumber than you are, has worse products than you are, isn't as good as you are, and they're making more money than you do because they're willing to sell.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, thanks, Bob. But he was right,
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about, you just have so many stories. I want to run through a bunch of these companies, and hopefully for, if you're listening online, I think the thought is, like, take these as these little moments of inspiration, just like you did. You're like, oof, what about this? Mm-hmm. So it might not be that somebody's going to go pitch Buc-ee's and create a whole t-shirt empire, but it might be like right off of it, like slightly asymmetric,
Yeah.
So I want to talk about pet cremation because that's the obvious next thing you go to.
Uplifting topic. Yeah.
That's awful. My dog's here. Hide the dog.
It's so hot right now, by the way.
Is it really?
Cremation, so hot. Right. I had to.
Is that a dad joke?
I have four kids. Yeah.
I love a dad joke.
To.
Okay, let's talk pet cremation.
Okay.
What happened?
I had a friend that worked in private equity, and he had seen the inside of some deals, some pet cremation deals that looked really, really good. 92% gross margins. We have more puppies in the United States than children today. As of 2 years ago, like the line officially crossed. More puppies than kids, right? So extract from that what you will. But there's an opportunity there. Everyone bought puppies during COVID. Those puppies are 5 years old now. And unfortunately, they will die. And cremation is exploding in popularity. So I like to look for businesses that ride several tidal waves at once, several trends, right? And so you've got the puppy boom, you got people buying puppies, you have people preferring cremation for whatever reason, and then you have my friend that had an inside look into the industry. And so that same friend, luckily, also had a friend that was a veterinarian that owned a very high volume clinic. Like he did as much business as 6 clinics, right? And he was able to say, hey, if we start a pet cremation business, would you work with us instead of who you're currently working with? Sure. So we just kind of had that relationship. And so we started looking at these burners, and they're like $100,000 to $300,000 each. And then we thought, oh, man, I don't usually do that. I don't put hundreds of thousands into businesses, right? I'm scrappy. And so we thought, okay, well, what if we could just play middleman and just have a refrigerated van where we just play puppy logistics, if you will, okay? Pick up the puppies, puppy pickup, and then deliver them to the cremation facility that's already invested $500,000 into equipment because they want to be in the cremation business, not the logistics business. And that's one thing that we learned. We interviewed a few of them and say, what's the pain point in your business? Something we've already talked about. And they said, sales and logistics. What if we do both of those for you? My friend had another friend that had been acquiring veterinarian clinics. So he had contacts in the industry. So we said, all right, there's our sales. Here's our first customer that's worth 6 customers. Put the pieces together. Let's spend $15,000 on a refrigerated van, and we're in business. And so we capture a margin between the cremation facility and the veterinarian.
God, that's so smart. So it's almost like you see an opportunity in an industry and you go, okay, what's the most direct route? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, cremation. But then you say, my constraints are I want to spend less than $50,000. So if I can't get into that aspect for $50,000, where can I find just part of the business. So instead of taking everything from I'm going to get the lead for the puppy to I'm going to deliver the puppy to I'm going to cremate the puppy to I'm going to like have a certificate I give the family or whatever, I'm just going to take this step.
Yep.
And because I only take this step, it doesn't cost me all of this
Yeah.
to start it. That's really clever.
Yeah.
It's like breaking down the business to the chunk you can afford.
Yeah. And the thing about that step that's a headache to them is if it's all you do, it's not a headache because all your systems are built around that one thing. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah. And so you're basically doing the opposite of what most companies do, which is like they might do vertical or horizontal integration where they go buy these things.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, let me do the opposite. Let me remove a portion of somebody's business. I can build an entire stack on it. And then if I want to add on and compete more, I can.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I get to just start.
Yeah. And now what we can do is we can go the vet route and go into clinics and sell them, or we can go to the cremation facilities and say, hey, I know what your margins are because I know the business. What if you give us 30% of that margin and we'll take care of all of your headaches, right? So you can streamline your operations. You can net out ahead, even though your top line revenue comes down, and it'll be a win-win.
Yeah, I love that. Also, it's so much easier to start a business when you can sell to people who are already doing the thing that you want them to do. It's really hard to create an industry. Like, for instance, we try to talk people into this idea that we should not let these businesses die, that you should buy them, and that you should do it creatively. You shouldn't always have to go to the bank and be a millionaire to do it. It's not easy. It's hard. There's lots of components of it, but it's totally possible. The problem with that is you're like talking them into a change in lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's actually not a very good business. It's like more something that I just think we should do. But if instead you're going to a business owner, they already have the pain point. They already have the cash to solve it. All you're doing is removing work from them. Like that's a really interesting model.
Yeah.
I typically don't think about businesses that way. So I
Yeah.
like that.
Cool.
The funny part though about pet cremation, to your point on like people don't realize what people pay for. Like what does it cost to get a pet cremated?
$250 to $500.
God, my dad's going to kill me for this story, but I like when my favorite dog died, he was obsessed with the dump truck. Like, you know how the trash truck, the dogs and shit. And so he died and his name was Elvis. He was this amazing little Cocker Spaniel. And so, you know, my dad told me, and so I came by the next day. I'm like, well, where's Elvis buried? You know, what happened? And he's like, oh no, I like took him to his favorite spot. And I'm like, what do you mean by that?
What does that mean?
Yeah. And he just put him in a bag and gave him to the dump truck. And I was like, I think that's illegal. I think that's right. He was like, he would be thrilled. He'd be barking happily all the way to the dump, his favorite
You're
place.
just like staring into the abyss.
Oh, I just was. I know. It's such we're Latino. They're like, they don't understand things like cremating a dog for $500. That's like not part of the equation. Okay. Let's talk about RV parks. So I think a lot of people are interested in this idea of, I call them like low people businesses, you know, vending machines, laundromats, car washes, RV parks. All of them have like a version of the business that could be low people. Then they have a very high people version of it. You own a bunch of RV parks and got into it. How did you get into that business? Break down the economics of it. What's most interesting about it?
Yeah. So, and I've done both ends of that. Small RV parks with no employees and large RV parks with a lot of employees. So I was buying single family homes back in college. And then I moved to Texas and I met some guys they owned hundreds of single family homes, but they had just been introduced to mobile home and RV parks. And they basically said, Chris, you've got to look at this. Instead of having 12 homes across a metroplex in 2 hours, you can have 12 homes all on the same 2 acres, and each one of them is more profitable than those, and it costs like a third as much as all of the single family homes. So you have the efficiencies of them being all right there. It's the lowest form of affordable housing, so it's recession resistant, and they're easier to manage. And you don't have to maintain the unit. The tenant owns the unit, so you just own the land. So I'm like, why do people even buy single family homes? Like, I don't understand. Is this like the world's best kept secret? And so we partnered up and we started buying these small RV and mobile home parks across Texas and Oklahoma, 10 to 70 pad sites. No amenities, mostly long-term tenants, and where the tenants own either the RV or the mobile home, and we just maintain the infrastructure. And we did that for 2.5, 3 years.
What would each one cost you to buy those?
Yeah, so
parks?
Between $100,000 and $1.5 million.
Wow. And what kind of margins are you making on that? Like, how much money are you getting in your pocket from that?
It's like 30 to 60% cash on cash returns.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's insane.
Does that still exist today, or has a lot of that? It does.
No, it does.
Yeah. Because a lot of people say those days are over.
Yeah.
You can't find X business like that, Y business like that. Is that true? And if it's not true, then why can you still find those? Why are people not buying them up?
So the founder of 1-800-GOT-JUNK has a quote that I love. And he says that as long as pianos weigh 800 pounds, we're going to be in business, right? And so as long as RV parks are ugly and forgotten and hard, or at least they seem to be hard, there's going to be an opportunity there.
Yeah.
I've been saying since 2018, since I've been in the business, like, oh, private equity, they're coming. And they're coming after the $10 million parks.
Yeah.
But private equity doesn't care about $100,000 or $1 million or $3 million park.
No.
So there's opportunity there.
Yeah, it's the same with buying businesses.
Yeah.
They literally, if you want to sell your $3 million business that has 30% margins, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's super hard. And now we know we own like the biggest, depending on how you do it, let's call it the second biggest behind business buy sell marketplace for small businesses. And man, there's so many good deals on there that nobody's buying.
Yeah.
And we're getting like 10 to 12 new listings every single week. And we've only been around for a year. And some of these businesses, it's like a business that does $160,000 in revenue a year. Let's call it $50,000 in profit. And they want to sell it for $50,000.
Yep.
So it's all around. What about, actually, let's do this really quick. So somebody's listening and they're like, I would love to own. Like, I would love to just feel like an owner of a business and buy a mobile home park for $100,000 to $200,000 and like get there. What would be the couple things you'd tell them? Don't buy mobile home parks unless you do this.
Oh, that's easy. Wastewater treatment plants. I don't know if most people never heard that phrase, but a lot of parks treat their own wastewater on site. And that is like major red flag. You could get shut down by the government, like stay far away. A lot of the best deals you'll see have those for that reason. So stay away from that. You want to think of a barbell. On one end of the barbell, you have no amenities. I did that 7 years ago. It was great. That means you don't have to have a manager. You could manage, one person remotely could manage a half a dozen parks, as long as he's on site every quarter or so. And then on the other end of the barbell, you have amenity rich, pool, pickleball, horseshoes, you name it, water slides, everything. That's a great place to be. That's what I'm doing today. I'm a partner in a fund, and those are the parks we buy. Hundreds of pad sites near national and state parks. It's harder, but bigger, and bigger numbers, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the middle. If you buy a park with a pool and that's it, then your insurance is much higher. You need someone to be there, and they're only there for the pool. You don't want a kid to drown, right? Yeah. So you don't want to be in the messy middle, like either no amenities or all the amenities.
So you once started a crypto project with John McAfee, who is easily, I think, the most eccentric, paranoid, and wild entrepreneur, maybe of all times. He founded and sold McAfee antivirus software, investigated for murder in Belize, and later returned to the U.S. where he ran for president not once, but twice. I think there's a whole Netflix documentary about him. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. So it was like 7 years ago, or 8, I don't know. But crypto was going crazy, and I was getting involved because I'm, always distracted. And I had kind of found this math equation that helped me predict the price of cryptocurrencies. And it was very simple. Here's the whole secret, okay? I found a way to measure how much hype cryptocurrency had. How many people were talking about it on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. And I put that into a number from 1 to 100. And then I used public websites to find out the market cap of the cryptocurrency, how much it was worth. And then I just divided the two numbers. So if there was a cryptocurrency that was very big, very popular, but people weren't really talking about it, my algorithm division told me it was going to go down in value at some point. Or if everyone was talking about something and it had a small market cap, then it would go up in value. So I started investing my own money in this. It was working. And I felt like I had just discovered like Newtonian physics or something, right? I was like, this is huge. I'm going to be so rich. This is amazing. But this was like years before I ever started publishing content. I had no following, no audience, no rich friends, nothing. And so I thought, who's the biggest name in crypto? John McAfee. He had like 1 million Twitter followers at the time. And for better or worse, he was the biggest name in crypto. And so I thought, if I could just skip the line right? Constraints equal creativity. If I could just partner with him and get him to buy into this vision that this works, then I could do something with this equation, build a community or sell access to it for a monthly fee or raise a fund and invest the fund's money into it. I got to get his attention. Problem is that he founded a security company. He's very private. He lives on a compound with bodyguards. So I started guessing his email address because I couldn't even find his email, which is pretty easy to do. I couldn't find his. So I'm trying like jm@mcafee.com, John@McAfee, John, and it was just bounce back. Finally, I had a notification. It was opened. I'm like, okay, I found it. He didn't respond, but I found it. So then I just start blowing him up. John, I'm really onto something here. Some guy in Texas, he doesn't know who I am. I'm nobody. I'm onto something. I think finally he responds, and I still have these screenshots. So this was January 24th, 2018. As long as it is a live demo, as I said before, I will not even look at history and will throw you out of house if you bring it up. Even if you have HD video showing God coming down from heaven and exclaiming that you are legit, I will still throw you out of the house. I want a live demo of your product that accurately projects the future. Otherwise, I will be seriously pissed off. Can you pull off a demo that predicts prices the following day, 48 hours from today, and 1 week from today? If you can do that, then please come. If you cannot, even with the greatest excuse God could provide, then do not come. Put it in the history books.
Oh my God, I want to use that line. David, the amount of times I'm going to say to you now for things you want to pitch me, even with the grace of God.
That's right.
I will never dance on the internet. Yeah, that is so good. Okay. What a fucking great email save too.
And I was like, John, just give me an hour of your time in person. And he said, okay, I live in Lexington, Tennessee. Be at my house on, I think it was February 28th at 1:23 p.m. And if you're there, I'll give you an hour. And he said, I'll give you my address the morning of. Whoa. So I'm like, okay. So I fly to Tennessee, I get a rental car, email him that morning and say, I'm coming, John, what's your address? No response. I'm just going to Lexington. I don't know where he lives, right? There's like 40,000 people there. John, I'm coming to Lexington. Finally, at like 1 o'clock, or like 12 o'clock, he emails me his address. So I pull up to this house. It's like this old Southern style neighborhood. And there's one like Spanish style home with like a Hummer and like a Nissan Versa. And it's just like, if anyone lives here, it's John McAfee, right? All these crappy cars. And I knock on the door, and you know that scene in Home Alone when like they're about to leave to Paris and it's just bustling activity and everyone's running. It looked like that. There was an Australian film crew in there, multiple bodyguards with guns on their person, and then John and his wife, Janice. And he's like, who are you? I'm like, John, like, you just gave me your address. He's like, I don't know who you are. I'm like, Chris, I have that. He's like, oh, Janice, sorry, this guy thinks he can predict crypto. I don't believe him. I'm like, we're off to a great start. This is awesome. I'm glad I flew to Tennessee for this. So he's like, come in, we're going to the liquor store. I'm like, okay. And I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've never tasted alcohol. He's like the opposite of me, like in every way except entrepreneurship, right? So he's like, come in, sit down. So I sit down at this breakfast nook and everyone leaves as soon as I get there. And I'm like, what? Okay, this is weird. And I'm looking at this table and there's like hard drives and laptops. And I'm like, okay, this is like the most secure person in the world. There's probably $100 million worth of Bitcoin on that hard drive. And he doesn't know who I am. He's just, what is happening? Long story short, I end up hearing someone there. One of his bodyguards was there. He's like, oh, nice to meet you. He's very nice. He's like, tell me why you're here. And I spend like 30 minutes explaining how this works. And he's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm just like, great, this is just a total failure. And so then everyone comes back. John sits down. He's like, all right, Chris, you got an hour. So I open up my MacBook. I start talking. And he's like, do you mind if this film crew films this? I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And so they start filming. And I'm like halfway into my second sentence. And he's like, this is brilliant. Of course it works. Why wouldn't it work? It's just all hype. You're just dividing the hype by the market cap. What do you want from me? And I'm like, wow, this guy gets it. And so I'm like, let me give you a quarter of whatever it is that we build, and you tweet about me twice per week. I'll tell you what to tweet. We'll build something. And we shook on it. And I spent the day there eating Mexican food and hanging out with him. Wow. And then we started a business together.
And what ended up happening with the business?
Oh man, this was 2018, right at the start of crypto crashing from 20,000 to 3,000.
Oh yeah.
But we started a cryptocurrency that we gave out for free, and it reached a $30 million market cap. And we built a community with 70,000 people in it. We planned conferences, and we became friends over the course of 2 years until it all just kind of fizzled out and died.
Wow. So basically crypto crashed and that just killed the whole business.
Yeah. We were just swimming upstream we launched at like the worst possible time. Wow. I still have his voicemails saved on my phone.
That's wild.
Yeah. I can't delete them. I just can't.
Chris John, McAfee. I'd like to chat for a little while, but to
it goes on and on. It's like 2 minutes. It's this idea to like start a business giving away free crypto to like strippers and mimes. Oh my God. And he's just rambling. And it's like, it's funny, but it's like I leave rambling voicemails like that. Not while on coke, but it's like we have the same entrepreneurial brain. His is just like plus coke, you know?
And strippers.
It's strippers and no morals. Yeah.
Wow, that is wild.
It's a good story.
What a story, though.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's kind of two other things I want to go with. One is you've obviously met a ton of everyday business owners who have gone from nothing to a couple $100,000, million, $2 million businesses. Mm-hmm. Everybody talks about the world's greatest founders, but what have you noticed just in your millionaire founders that you've met? What is different about them than everybody else?
Yeah. They have an insane bias for action. They just move fast. And not like to have first movers advantage just because that's just how they operate. They're impatient, right? Which could be seen as a flaw. It might be a flaw in their personal life. I don't know. But they're just insanely curious and impatient, and they pair those two things together. And sometimes it gets messy and things fail and things explode and bankruptcy. But over the long run, they just win. Mm-hmm. If they don't quit, they stay in the game. They just win. Until
you actually get in front of people who are moving like billionaires. Like most of the billionaires I've met, I'm just like, oh my God, once you've made a decision, it's just tidal waves of movement. Mm-hmm. But I've struggled to try to get like a formula for how to explain if you are fast or not. Like if somebody said, all right, let's Chris, create for me the algorithm of, am I fast or am I not in my life? What would be the inputs? How could one tell if you really were a person who biased for action?
That's a good question. I've noticed like the best employees I've had work fast. Mm-hmm. And that's not something you talk about with employees. You talk about productivity but they just like, if I give two employees the same spreadsheet task, one of them has done 10 minutes, one does the same thing in 3 hours. Yeah. Right. And so I wish I had a formula of like how to train that. Maybe it can't be trained, but like, you know what? Maybe the commonality is you truly love what you do. Mm-hmm. Like I love what I do so much. I'm sitting at the MacBook typing away and I got to go to the bathroom. I'll run to the bathroom. And there's no deadline. No one's around. No one cares, right? It's just an email I'm writing or something and I'll run back. Yeah. Just because I genuinely love it and I want to be doing more of that. Going pee is not fun, right? I want to be doing that thing. And so that kind of forces me to be fast. If I'm researching a business or launching a business, if I do it faster, then I can do more of it in a compressed time period. So maybe you could make an analogy to like a hobby or something that you love. Like if you love going to the beach, you might speed on the way to the beach. You might spend more time there. You might be really creative or efficient at finding your way to the beach because you love it so much. Yeah. So just take that same principle and apply it to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. Do you have a way to screen employees for their speed?
The only way I've found is just 30-day trials for everyone. Yeah. And just saying on day one, statistically speaking, this isn't going to work out. Mm-hmm. Nothing against you. You seem awesome, or else we wouldn't even be doing this. I'm just looking at numbers. 30% chance this works out. Mm. So on day 30, let's put it on the calendar right now. We're going to have a talk. No hard feelings. It just probably won't work out. And if it's the right person, that conversation will put a chip on their shoulder, right? Because that chip can be very heavy. And some people get that. Some people just don't have that gene. It offends them and it drives them, like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and they don't work out. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, oh, okay, we'll see. I'll be in that 30%. And that's the guy or girl that I want.
Yeah, it's a good. Did somebody ever do that to you?
Oh, I like everything I've done is because of some stupid comment that someone made, or like it's chips on my shoulder. Like it's everything. I'm sure you could.
I'm the same
you
way.
could refer to
everybody
conversations.
says like, don't build angry. I'm like, wrong.
Yeah.
Like, there's no greater fuel
Yeah.
than being a little pissed off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, it's, I mean, and if you're religious, talk about like righteous fury, like that is a real thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't build the irrational thing that is a big business because you're like, I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
I just feel nothing.
Yeah.
And I like stumbled my way into this business. I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
I think you have to build it through like a force of will that is unreasonable.
Yes.
And that often comes from being really pissed that something doesn't already exist.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm not the right person to talk to about like work-life balance or, you know, being really reasonable on everything. I'm like, no, we got one life. And at the end of the day,
Yep.
I want to be able to say we made an
And
impact.
if you enjoy it, then right.
Yeah.
Like as much as I love my mom, I love you, Mom, but I didn't become successful because she believed in me so much. Right? I'm glad that she did. I believe in my kids. I became successful because some stupid guy in college is like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make it. And that guy probably doesn't even remember that I exist. You know, it's so silly.
Yeah.
But if you're able to harness it, then it's not silly.
Yeah. I used to I have like a little screen. I bet I still have the screenshot from when I was in finance. I was a partner at a finance company. And we had grown really fast, my division. And one of the other division heads basically didn't like that I was starting to bring a lot of this stuff online. It was pre-contrarian thinking, but I still thought that in the future, investing, a lot of it was going to be done through a version of online marketing. I was like, I think steak dinners as the only way of business that's not this generation.
Yeah.
And they disagreed. And so I remember he sent me an email. I think he was a little liquored up. It was like late at night. And the email said, I hope you gained more followers today because you've dumbed down our business.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being like,
You probably remember exactly where you were when you read that email.
yeah, I remember where I was. I remember how I felt. And I remember being like, thanks, man. I needed that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like, be really careful, I think, also with like the fuel you put into
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
You know, because you might not realize enemies can be powerful too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've learned that lesson also. Let's talk about that for a second. Like, you've done 75 businesses. You have to have gotten lied to, cheated, defrauded. Like, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in entrepreneurship?
Man, we could have 4 hours of conversation. Like I call it like surface area for fraud, surface area for scams, trials, business partnership fallouts. I've had like 15 business partners. I could tell so many stories, but the worst one ever was I was building a business with a couple partners, and we had a $50 million opportunity on the table. We had a term sheet, and it was significantly better than we thought we would get. And this was life-changing money for all of us. And the two partners that I had kind of like ganged up, so to speak, had a meeting without me. And they said, you know what, like, there's really not enough equity to go around. I know our operating agreement kind of, you know, we could just rip up that operating agreement, start a new company, get those same investors in our new company with just us. They're not going to care. They barely know Chris, right? It sucks, but like, honestly, this just makes the most sense. So they had that conversation. And then I was, in my head, I was about to sign like the best deal of my life. I was way up here, right? And then I get a text. It's like, hey, meet me at Starbucks. And I just saw the text and nothing. I had no red flags. Like there were no signs that this was about to happen, right? But I saw that text and I was like, I don't feel good about this. Why don't I feel good about this? Just something told me. Yeah. And like that feeling just came up and I'm like, okay. So I get in the truck and I drive across the street to Starbucks. I'm like, why aren't we meeting at the office? This was right across the street. I'm like, okay. So I get to Starbucks and I thought I was meeting with one of them. And the one I was closer with, I was meeting with both of them. Mm-hmm. And you could just see the looks on their faces. Yeah. And it was a longer conversation, but basically it was like, this sucks. This is wrong. We know this is wrong. We know this will ruin our friendship, but you're out. I'm like, you're out. This is done. We're doing this without you. We don't need you. And so I was just like, chip on shoulder, right? I was like, okay. That came later. In the moment, I was just like seeing red. Yeah. And just like driving home like this. And It was one of the worst things that's ever happened to me, honestly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, lawyers got involved. That deal blew up. And my life has never been better ever since.
Yeah, it's such a lesson. I mean, one of the things that I feel like a lot of people are scared of doing entrepreneurship because they know the big, bad, scary thing will happen.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the game long enough, you're going to get hit.
Yep.
It's just the name of the game. But the crazy part is it doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to kill you. Like entrepreneurship by itself, unless you fall off a roof, it's not going to kill you. It's going to suck.
Yep.
You're going to have mental scars, all the PTSD. But what I'm always surprised about? The people who defraud you and the people who scam you. Like we had this guy who like Chris and I, my husband Chris, were like really close to. Like met his kid and like been in his house and like knew the guy. And I thought we were buddies, but I was on the internet a little bit by then. This was like kind of at the beginning of being on the internet. Mm-hmm. And the guy was formerly in secret agency world. And so I knew, like, obviously those people understand manipulation. Like, they know how to come after you. Mm-hmm. But I just never would imagine being targeted, That was like a foreign thing to me.
Yeah.
But what happens in entrepreneurship is you do get targeted, actually, all the time. Sometimes, like, big manipulation, sometimes little. And the one that stuck with me the most was not the most money. It was only a couple $100,000 that he defrauded us from. But it was that somebody could come after you with that intent. Mm-hmm. Somebody could steal from you so intensely, and the whole time you think you're friends.
Yeah.
And I think with business, what it really starts to teach you is that partnerships should be like few and far between.
Oh, yeah.
Or really set with a lot of expectations. And you've got to expect that you're going to have a breakup.
Yeah.
And then it'll be okay. And for people like that, it always comes back around.
Yeah.
Like I think it's very rare for somebody to have a ton of business success over decades and decades and continuously fuck partners and people not know, right?
Yeah.
So one of the good parts is when you partner with people who are kind of success, you're like, okay, I know what I'm going to get into. Mm-hmm. One of the lessons that I've learned is like be very careful with the unknown commodity. Like if you don't know them, if they haven't ever had any success, but they're the same age as you got to kind of be careful. Yeah. It's better to be the young up and comer, probably, or it's better to go with the established one. But I do think entrepreneurship can break your heart because that was one of the few ones where I was like, you're just a commodity, not something else. But I think, thank you for sharing because nobody really wants to share those stories. And everybody makes themselves out to be, it's only been great. Everything's only good.
Oh, it's tough.
And that's not the case.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, let's give people some tactics really quickly. So we've already talked about some ways to find businesses. Mm-hmm. But if you were going to have somebody leave here, you've given them 3 businesses you've given them 3 businesses you don't. If they right now are listening and they want to go find their next business to start, where would you look? Yeah. What do you do?
Where do you start? So I think that you have to put yourself in one of 2 buckets. Am I someone that already knows I love entrepreneurship? I've made my first dollar for myself. I've tasted it. I love it. Yeah. Or am I someone that loves the idea of entrepreneurship? I like how it sounds. I don't want to work. Who wants to work for someone, right? Some of those people end up trying it and they don't like it, right? So step 1 is figure out what bucket you're in, right? And then answer that question for yourself. Go gather things around your house that are just sitting around, sell them on Facebook Marketplace, see how it feels. Is the hassle of going back and forth with someone or meeting someone to sell a $50 dresser, is it not worth it for you? Or does it seem not worth it until you make that $50 and you're like, oh, that feels good. I did that myself, right? So start there, I would say.
Yeah. Now, what about for the person that is already in a job? So they're already working. They kind of maybe like what they do, but they're not young and hungry necessarily. They're in their career. Is there somewhere you tell people to start where it's slightly more advanced?
Yeah.
Is there a 202 level to start, or does everybody have to start at 101 Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah. You familiar with the Ikigai principle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that aren't, it's just a Venn diagram. What do you love? Mm-hmm. What are you good at? What does the world need? And what could you charge for? Mm-hmm. Okay, start there. So if you work in dentistry, right? You know dentistry better than most people you know. So maybe you should start thinking of ideas that are tangential to that. Maybe you have a vendor that seems to be crushing it and you could copy what they're doing. Maybe you could maybe you manage your your dentist Facebook ads account and you could start an ad agency for dentists, right? So start what you enjoy and what you know and what is in kind of your zone of genius and go from there. Where I see people going wrong is like they're a lawyer and then they go try to start a pressure washing business. And they're like, I don't even like this at my house. Like, what am I doing? You know? And that could turn them off from entrepreneurship just because they chose the wrong thing. They might actually love the feeling of entrepreneurship, right? So definitely start with what you know, and then test it. Like Jeff Bezos talks about the regret minimization framework, right? People don't regret things that they do typically, right? Like we regret things that we didn't do, like the jump that we didn't take. And so that's one thing that I have. I have call it like underlying FOMO. If I have a business idea that's just ruminating, I've got to get it out. Yeah. And if it fails, great, because now I know. Because I don't want there to have been an idea from 3 years ago that could have been $1 billion idea. So you're just, every year that you get older, right, the chance of you leaving those golden handcuffs just goes down and down and down. And the worst feeling is just being 40, 50, 60, 80 years old and looking back like, I should have done that. Like that job kind of sucked the whole time. Why didn't I at least try it? Like people don't have to quit. Under almost, like there's very few exceptions where you have to quit your job to start a business.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know, the part that's really interesting on that too is like, I think most people really overestimate what happens. I'm sorry, people really underestimate what happens after you start. Like the hard thing is the start.
Yeah.
The really hard thing, because most people just will never kickstart their way. Like, again, to go to my dad, he was in real estate forever and never bought a property. I mean, I'm talking like 30 or 40 years because he was super risk averse.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, I'm a deal maker. I like to get the deals. I'm like, yeah, what if you're sick?
Yeah.
You have to have something else that can pay you. And so it's like, just kind of get started.
Yeah.
And then you can see what happens. What about, I like this framework of like minimizing regret. Do you also do you have you have 452 businesses, like you've done like 75 businesses to date. Do you think you have ADD, ADHD or something? Do you have a hard time sticking with one thing for an extended period of time?
Diagnosed ADHD. Definitely have that. And it used to stress me out. I used to say, Chris, shiny object syndrome, stop. Nope, this is working. I went and got my MBA just to like fight that, right? And I used to think focus is like focusing on one business. And maybe for some people that is. To me, the focus that's important is focusing on your superpower, okay? And where I went wrong was trying to do payroll and trying to do a little bit of marketing and hiring and operations. I'm terrible at operations, right? I forget payroll sometimes. That's really bad. That's really bad when you miss payroll. All right, let me tell you. But I'm really good at marketing and ideation and executing on ideas fast. So now I just focus on that. And if that's across 10 different businesses or one, it makes no difference because I'm going to win either way.
I love that because these days people all will tell you, well, hey, you should just do this one thing. You know, if instead you focused on one business, how much richer would you be? It's like, I don't know, maybe, but maybe I'd have less fun.
Yeah.
And so do we always have to optimize for return, or can we optimize for a little fun plus return?
Yeah.
So I think for anybody out there who's, got a little ADD, gets distracted kind of easy, that doesn't mean that you can't be an entrepreneur. It might just mean your path looks different.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me ask that. It's probably inappropriate. What other
No,
medical diagnoses do you have that you'd like to discuss today? Anything else? Well, you said two things that I think a lot of people feel like you can't have as an entrepreneur. You're like, I'm an introvert. I actually don't like doing this. And second, you're like, I'm ADHD. I get distracted. And yet you can still be a CEO, still be a content creator, and still be pretty wildly successful. Is there why could a person listening right now not do this? What's the anti-entrepreneur? You will never make it if you have these characteristics.
Ego, pride. You don't want to look stupid in front of your friends that aren't even thinking about you. It could just be like you really just don't want it that bad. You just like the idea of entrepreneurship. But you try like getting your hands dirty a little bit and it's like, I just want a paycheck. And that's awesome. I would love to report to someone a lot of times.
Me too.
I would love to just say, tell me what to do, right? So I think if you are humble and you do really want it, like I can't think of really any excuses why you can't do it. Because like even working hard, you don't have to have a work ethic. If you genuinely enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. right? Like some people say people are inherently lazy. I think people need to work. I think we get fulfillment from work. Most people just haven't found the work that they love yet. So it means you have to keep trying things until you do, right? Like after starting 75 businesses, I know exactly what I like and what I don't like. But had I just stayed in one the whole time, I might not know. So I just follow the energy. If I'm doing a task that gives me energy, I just do more of that. And I think it's really hard to go wrong if you do that. You're familiar with product market fit, right? It's just like the concept that your product or service, there's a big market for it and you know it's there because you're just like staying up all night fulfilling orders. Like there's so much demand for this. Some people think you have to have that. You don't usually have it. I've experienced like 2 or 3 times. But when I have a product or service or business that has product market fit, I'm not out there getting distracted. I don't have time. There's a selection bias, right? So if I'm distracted by another shiny object, that's a signal to me that there's something worth getting distracted over because this thing is expensive as far as opportunity cost is concerned. So if my energy is directed over here, then I should pay attention to that, right?
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's a very fair point too. I also think like most people, it's like, do you only want to do what you want to do or do you want to do what's required? If you only want to do what you want to do at all times, then you won't make it. Yeah. Now you can only do what you want to do broad picture, but like day to day, you're going to have to do some bullshit. Yeah. And if you're willing to do that, I really think you can be an entrepreneur. It's just like, it is that mixture of like, can I become obsessed with a thing? Then can I do some stuff I don't want to do? Can I do it past a point that is reasonable for most other people? And can I continue to move forward? Yeah. In your religion, do you have to do like door knocking and selling?
We did during our mission for 2 years. Yeah.
So you kind of learned hard, difficult, salesy things. How old were you then?
19. In Hungary, Eastern Europe.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you speak Hungarian?
Yeah, a little bit. I still got some left.
Wow, what do you got?
Jó napot kívánok.
That sounded great.
Thank you.
What'd you say?
I just put a little deeper voice on and no one can tell the difference. I just said, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Wild. Yeah. And so do you think a lot of your entrepreneurial chops come from doing hard things like that really young?
Oh, 100%. I was like, in high school, you know, I had a single mom. She was a waitress, and I had bad grades. I was not motivated. I was not driven. I was not valedictorian, 3.0 GPA, stupid stuff on the weekends. But after knocking doors in Eastern Europe in a foreign language for 2 years, and I added up how many times I got rejected, loosely, because we would knock on doors all day, every day. And so if you add that up, like X doors per day, it's like 24,000 times. Rejected to my face. Okay, this isn't like a mean email. Like, I don't want what you're selling me. When you do that for 2 years and you come home, I just remember sitting in my room after coming home thinking like, I can freaking do anything. Like, and I will. Like, this is America. I can do whatever I want because I met a lot of really smart, kind, talented people over there that had no opportunity. They could not get ahead if they wanted to. And I was like, I can do whatever I want here compared to Hungary. And so I've just been trying to do that ever since.
Did you convert anybody with 24,000 no's?
11.
Whoa.
Yeah. So how's that?
Which also seems like a lot. Like if you believe you're saving souls, 11 is a lot. That's more than me. But that's a tough ratio.
It's tough.
So do you think, like, will you make your kids do the same thing or ask your kids if they want to do the same thing?
We encourage them to.
Yeah.
But I can't really force them to do anything, you know, especially once they're 18.
You just model it.
Yeah. But the thing is about those 11 people is I learned after a while, like, it was all for me. Like, it sounds selfish, but I served that mission. I thought I was serving others, and that became a byproduct of what I was doing. Really, I was served the most in serving them.
Yeah, I get that.
That makes sense?
Oh, 100%. It's my favorite reason for why we host workshops here. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do, like, with the scale that we have, to bring 100 people in here, teach them about business, but we've been doing it for the past 5 years. Like, why would you do such a thing? Because it's actually really selfish. Yeah. Like, when you meet the people at the end, and in the beginning, and I remember one of the guys, I won't say his name, but he, like, have you ever looked at an entrepreneur? You can tell they're going through it. Like when you are with a CEO buddy and they're having a tough time in the business, I think it's often physical. Like you can literally see it on their face. Yeah. And so he had sort of these, like, I guess it's shingles, like hives sort of. And I was like, what's going on with you, man? And it was because he had a, what is that called? Where you go and check a house to see what it's worth.
Oh, appraiser?
Yeah. Geez. Yeah. Okay. So he was a home appraiser. And by the end of 2 days, we kind of figured out that he was really selling to the low end of the market. He was taking everybody. So he was it was your 3PL problem. No profit, too many clients, lots could go wrong. And they really didn't value his service very much. So it was always a price negotiation, right? So, but by the end, I'm like, are you good at this? And he's like, yeah, we're very good at it. I'm like, why don't you just put like luxury home appraisal? Just like optimize for SEO on that. You're a luxury appraisal company now. Did it. He's like, oh my God, I doubled my business.
Wow.
Plus I have half the number of clients. And he started looking healthy. Now, that is awesome for him. I'm stoked about that. But like, I was so excited. I'm like, look at the help that I could give this dude doing it. And I think people don't realize that entrepreneurship can really be that.
Oh, it's
so
amazing.
I think it's a real service what you do, because now you're talking to, how many people are following you on the internet now with all the sauce you're given?
I mean, I don't even track it, but like 3.62 million, something like
barely
that.
know.
So I don't track it.
And where do you like people to follow the most? I like your Instagram and your Twitter. I try to stay off X as much as possible, actually, because it can be a cesspool. But you have great X and Instagram. Do you want to tell them where to find you?
Yeah, my podcast, really. The Kerner Office, spelled like my last name.
Yeah, well, spell it because they're never going to get that.
KOERNER.
There you
or
go.
TKOpod.com.
I actually thought it was Corner up until this very moment.
Well, I don't
the
do
Corner
myself
Office
any favors.
is
I know.
really, so it's the Kerner Office because it looks like
but
Corner.
I'll accept both of them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on here. Thank you for all the secrets that you share about entrepreneurs. And I think this episode is going to be really useful for multiple people out there who are stuck in their own way and they might just break through. So if you give them a follow all across the interwebs. And if you guys start a business or if you grow one because of this, tell us. We will get you something special in the comments. Come back. We will patrol this for the next couple months. And if something cool happens, we'll make sure we give away some merch to you. Maybe we'll even get an original Buc-ee's, something that Chris did
Some beaver nuggets.
simultaneously. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.